I call to order the regular meeting of the York County School Board for May 20th, 2024. This is our last meeting before the end of the school year, and we do have a full agenda tonight. And I want to remind everybody, with another year ending, we do have graduations coming up. So don't let anything slide until then. We've got the graduations as well as the end of the year for all of the students, and we want to make sure that you're successful through the end, and we're all excited for the end of this year. This time, I would like to introduce Lee Marr, a third grade student at Mount Vernon Elementary. If you can come up, he's going to be leading our pledge, but first I'll give some information about him. If you want to turn around so anybody can take pictures of you. Mount Vernon Elementary is pleased to recognize third grader Lee Marr as the pledge leader. When asked what he loves most about being a Mount Vernon Mustang, he said, quote, "There's a lot of good things, but my favorite is seeing my friends every day when I walk in. All of the teachers are really nice." Lee was selected as a peer mentor for the Little Feet Meet last year. His favorite subject is social studies because he says it's pretty cool learning about the past and history. Lee loves sports and participates in the running club at school. Outside of school, he plays soccer and flag football. He shared that he loves to run and recently placed first in his age group at the St. Catherine Run and Tab High School May Day 5K. Lee's teacher shared, Lee is a role model to his peers. When someone needs help, Lee is the first one to go out of his way to help his classmates. The school counselor shared that Lee is an excellent student and athlete, both in school level clubs and in county-wide organizations. He has been selected to partner with students in small groups because of his positive influence. He is a role model in responsibility and kindness for his classmates. Lee is a great representative of Mount Vernon's motto to be responsible, safe, kind, and ready to learn. Lee Marr, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Okay. Everybody stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're moving on to the seniors of the month. And the following students are being recognized for their achievements. From District 1, Bruton High School, Mr. Schaefer, would you please introduce?
Yes, thank you. I'd like Cameron, who goes by Caleb Kuchar, to stand up, along with your brothers, sisters, and your parents. Okay. All right, Bruton High School is proud to recognize Caleb Kuchar as our 2024 May Student of the Month. Caleb's educational goal of pursuing a degree in literature is driven by a love for learning and deep appreciation for the written word. This passion has led to enrollment in the York County School of the Arts Literary Arts Program, as well as numerous accolades, including the High Academic Honors Award, Lamp of Knowledge Award, and recognition as the most outstanding student in both physics and English, along with the College Board AP Scholar Award for exceptional performance in AP courses. In addition to academic and creative pursuits, Caleb plays an integral role in our school community through demonstrated leadership and teamwork in various clubs and organizations, such as Student Congress, Slam Poetry Club, Dungeons and Dragons Club, I could see that, yeah. Virginia History Day Club, Panther Achievement Leaders, and National Honor Society. As a military-connected student, resilience and adaptability have been crucial to success in these roles. We know Caleb's determination and willingness to take risks will certainly make a significant impact in the college community he joins to pursue a degree in literature. And not only that, but they shared with me that they will be moving to Alaska for next year, which is pretty cool. I mean, I've never been, and I think that the kids will love it. All right, well, congratulations, Caleb.
Thank you so much. Next, Mr. Payovich is going to introduce Grafton High School's winner.
So it's a great honor to introduce the next Student of the Month. I took a time to read this, and I was just blown away how amazing kids we have among us. So I would like to introduce you Arusha Stristava and her parents, Abhishek and Priti Strisava. So if you could please stand up. Great. So Grafton High is very excited to name Arusha Stristava May Senior of the Month. Arusha will graduate in a couple of weeks with a 5.03 GPA and will be Grafton High School valedictorian for the 23-24 school year. Arusha is an extremely well-rounded student. She is involved in many clubs and organizations. She serves as the Grafton High representative and liaison on the York County School Division Gifted Education Advisory Board. She is the Congressional Debate Team co-captain, is on multiple honor societies, and is the author and editor of the New Horizons Governor's School Yearbook. Outside of the classroom, if possible, Arusha is even more impressive. She is the project lead and digital pathology researcher at Dartmouth Hitchcock, leading the development of a novel colon cancer analysis software. She is the founder and president of Heal America Incorporated, which is 501c3 nonprofit organization, bridging wellness necessity, distributing gaps across Virginia facilities. Arusha is also the biomedical computation group director and researcher, created a branch at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, developing software to study breast cancer cells behavior. Arusha has won many awards during her time at the Grafton High. She is the less than 1% of the students who receives the C. Prescott Davis Scholarship from Columbia Engineering. One of 40 students selected worldwide for a merit-based scholarship to the University of Virginia. Selected to travel nationally by Dartmouth Cancer Center to showcase exceptional contributions to cancer research. A Coca-Cola Scholar semifinalist, G.E. Reagan Scholar semifinalist, and International Climate Science Olympiad semifinalist. Arusha was also recognized a National Humanized AI Challenge finalist, awarded 6th nationwide for developing a healthcare plus AI project. Arusha is an incredibly driven young lady who is one of the less than 3% of all applicants selected to attend Caltech University in the fall. She is an amazing student, amazing person, and we cannot wait to see what she does next. So go cure the cancer. Good job.
Congratulations. Now for Tab High School, if Ella Marston and her family could please stand. It's wonderful having you here. Tab High School is honored to recognize an impressive GPA of 4.2218, Ella demonstrating her dedication and exceptional work ethic. Beyond her academic pursuits, Ella is deeply involved in several extracurricular activities, including the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, French Honor Society, Y Street, Youth Volunteer Corps, Beta Club, Key Club, Student Ambassadors, and Tiger Friends. Do you sleep at all? Her commitment extends into education through her participation in the Virginia Teachers for Tomorrow program. Here, Ella gains practical experience and knowledge about the teaching profession, working closely with elementary students, thereby positively impacting young people across the division. In addition to her school and extracurricular activities, Ella generously volunteers her time at local elementary schools and other school community-based organizations. Remarkably, she manages to balance these commitments with part-time employment at a nearby market, too. Ella's passion for her future and relentless pursuit of her goals are truly inspiring. She looks forward to continuing her education at Longwood University this fall, where she will undoubtedly excel in her academic and professional pursuits. We are excited to see what the future holds for such a bright and motivated young woman. Congratulations, Ella. Now, at this time, I have for York High School, Matthew Fan was Senior of the Month for March. However, he was unable to attend at that time, and we're glad that he is with us here tonight to be recognized for this honor. Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes, would Matthew and Fawn and your family stand, please? York High is pleased to recognize Matthew Fawn, an exceptional student and proud Falcon, as our March Senior of the Month. Matthew embodies leadership, excellence, and humility. With an unwavering commitment to academic excellence, Matthew has consistently pursued a rigorous course load as a student in the YCSD Honors Program. Due to his academic success, he holds membership in the National Honor Society and Tri-M Music Honor Society. Last year, Matthew received the AP Scholar with Distinction Award and the National Rural and Small Town Recognition Award through the College Board. As concertmaster for the Williamsburg Youth Orchestra, Matthew not only leads rehearsals and performances, but also mentors junior string players, showcasing his dedication to music and leadership. He also serves as a student ambassador for the organization. Matthew's leadership extends to athletics as one of the co-captains of the YHS cross-country team, where he inspires and motivates his teammates to excel. Matthew's selflessness is evident in his countless hours of community service. Congratulations, Matthew, on this well-deserved honor. We have no doubt that you will continue to soar and make a positive impact in your next chapter of life.
Mrs. Goodwin, do you also have for this month?
I do.
Wonderful.
For this month, I have Ryan Inge, and he is accompanied by his parents. York High School is proud to recognize Ryan Inge as York High School's May Senior of the Month. Ryan's dedication and commitment to excellence makes him a standout student. Due to his stellar academic performance, he holds membership in National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, and Tri-M Music Honor Society. As a member of the York High School NJROTC program, Ryan has demonstrated exceptional leadership skills, serving in various roles such as executive officer, operations officer, and class lead. He has received prestigious awards like the American Veterans Association JROTC Award and NJROTC Outstanding Student Award, just to name a few. Last summer, he was selected to attend the Commander Naval Air Force's JROTC Flight Academy for a private pilot license. Ryan has a strong passion for music. He was a member of the York High School Marching Band for 3 years and received multiple awards. Ryan has participated in the fifes and drums of Yorktown since 2019. He currently serves as drum commander and has previously served as section leader and volunteer instructor. Ryan has competed on the York High School track and field team as a pole vaulter and received a varsity letter. He has also competed with the Williamsburg Boat Club as a varsity oarsman. Congratulations, Ryan, on being selected as our May Senior of the Month.
Congratulations, and thank you so much. Mr. Richardson, would you please recognize York River Academy's winner?
I will. So York River Academy Senior of the Month is Anna Tekiva Barton, if she would stand. And bring your parents, your family here. There you go. Have everybody stand up, the whole family. There you go.
Yay.
We are pleased to share that Anna Tekiva, Ricky Barton, is the YRA Senior of the Month. Ricky is the daughter of Paul Barton and Jessica Atkins. Ricky began YRA in the winter of her sophomore year. She desired a small, supportive environment, quickly finding friends and adults that enjoyed her wit, artistic side, and personality. Enduring chronic mental health concerns and housing instability, Ricky's journey may differ from other Senior of the Month winners, but she epitomizes resilience. Ricky earned a 4.0 for her 3 straight semesters, solidifying a spot in the top 2 students for her graduating class. Never satisfied with the easy choice, Ricky decided to take an overload to enter the early college program her senior year. She will graduate on June 5th with 14 college credits and the opportunity to attend a second full year at Virginia Peninsula Community College for free. Ricky has volunteered at the SPCA and loves cats, but mostly she loves seeing them get adopted to new loving homes. Ricky is interested in pursuing a career as a veterinary technician. She is very interested in sharing her love of animals by providing education to others about living things and positively interacting with our environment. Ricky shares she does not want people to see mental illness as a stigma, but rather as seeing all people as capable human beings that need understanding and support. She looks forward to helping others to see that they are not defined by their life challenges. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of our Seniors of the Month. They're just amazing individuals and wonderful representatives of York County. At this time, I believe Dr. Shandor is going to go down front as we move into our Student Service Award winners. At this time, I will ask Dr. Kelly Denny, Mount Vernon Elementary Principal, to step forward and also remain down front while information is shared about both the Student Service Award recipients and the Volunteer of the Month for Mount Vernon. Let's see, the following students work collaboratively and are Student Service Award recipients. Mr. Richardson, would you please introduce them?
I will. So Mount Vernon is proud to recognize Boomy Palthik and Emmeline Kaiser as their Student Service Award winners for their collaborative community service project this spring. Boomy and Emmeline saw a problem and got to work. They created a Canva presentation and made an appointment with the principal to share their idea to prevent food waste in their cafeteria. The principal challenged them with several organizational questions, and they quickly responded with solutions. They started the program the next day and have faithfully collected non-perishable food items each day. Since the program began, Mount Vernon has donated hundreds of pounds of food to the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank. Both girls are actively engaged in the Mount Vernon Elementary School community. Emmeline participates in yoga, ukulele, and chorus. She enjoys baking and riding horses. Boomy participates in entrepreneur, Lego, chorus, and running clubs. She dreams of being a professional soccer player in the future. Their school counselor shared, Emmeline and Boomy are exactly what we want to see in our school community. They truly live our Mustang motto of being responsible, kind, safe, and ready to learn. They can often be found looking for ways to make the world a better place. Congratulations, girls.
And now we have our Volunteer of the Month for Mount Vernon Elementary. Mr. Pajovich, would you please introduce the winner?
Yes, I will. Mount Vernon Elementary is pleased to recognize Dr. Mary Borer. She is always willing to jump. She is always willing to jump in and help our schools. This year, she designated an online spiritware store and created a family directory. She volunteers weekly in the library and assists with the book fairs. Dr. Borer facilitates popsicle play days, giving families an opportunity to connect. She volunteers to prepare classroom materials. She has partnered with the SCA to facilitate collections for the SPCA and food bank. Our school counselor shared, I think that Dr. Borer is unbelievable. She is here before school, after school, and still works her own job. She has a true service heart. Dr. Boer has created over 50 unique bulletin boards for Mount Vernon Elementary. A teacher shared, Dr. Boer works so hard on our bulletin boards all year, often using her own money. She carefully plans ways for the students to take part. It takes a load off my plate, and I am so grateful. In her own words, Dr. Boer shared, whatever there is a need, I'm there for the school. Thank you all for that you do to support the Mount Vernon Elementary community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will ask Ms. Mary Lugo, Tab High School principal, to step forward and remain down front while information is shared for both the Student Service Award recipient and for the Volunteer of the Month for Tab High. First, we have the Student Service Award recipient. For Tab High School, we are pleased to present Julia Good. Julia, if you could come down. We're pleased to present Julia Good as our Student Service Award recipient. Julia has made meritorious contributions to our community through her time at Tab High School and accumulated 228 hours of community service. Julia serves her church community by participating as a children's ministry child care provider and Sports World volunteer. She also participates in the Peninsula Student Ministries Organization and Tab Young Life. Julia supports the York County School Division at the Mount Vernon Elementary Run Club and volunteers with Grafton Bethel Elementary on their field days. She is also a mentor in the Grafton Bethel Art Classroom. Perhaps one of the most impactful ways Julia gives back to her community is by participating in the Letters for Rose program with local retirement homes by sending letters or artwork monthly. The Letters for Rose program is a community service organization that was started during the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to connect with senior citizens. Not only does she serve in the organization as a member, but she is also an ambassador, spreading the news about the organization and how others can become part of the group. Within our school community, Julia is a bright light among our students, often sharing a smile or kind words with others. She is a scholar, athlete, artist, and role model. She is a member of 10 clubs and honor societies, as well as an honor roll student. We are proud of Julia and congratulate her on this award. Let's see, and now we will have the Volunteer of the Month for Tab High. Mr. Schaefer, if you could introduce Ms. Jennifer
Yes.
Warren.
Jennifer Warren, yes. Tab High School is honored to recognize Mrs. Jennifer Warren as our Volunteer of the Month, and we are grateful to work with such a caring, efficient, and friendly PTSA president. Mrs. Warren is successfully leading the charge of our growing PTSA this year. Not only have we seen a 28% increase in adult memberships, but more importantly, we have seen a 42% increase in our student memberships. We also have a growing number of volunteers and committee members willing to help our school in a variety of ways. There is no doubt that she has had a positive impact on PTSA this year and is the reason we have so many amazing volunteers supporting our school. The monthly meetings are positive, student-focused, and inclusive. Mrs. Warren has a way of making everyone feel included and as if they were part of the greater organization. Under Mrs. Warren's leadership, our PTSA has raised money to support educational initiatives, field trips, such as supporting our KidWin team going to the world competition in Minnesota, and large events such as after prom and the baccalaureate ceremony. Mrs. Warren and her team of volunteers support our students and staff through events such as the quarterly Orange Crush events, hospitality gatherings, and contributing to other school-wide events. It is critical to have a functioning PTSA in a school, and we are fortunate beyond measure to have Mrs. Jennifer Warren leading such an integral group at Tab High School. Congratulations.
finally, I ask Ms. Holly Sheffield, York River Academy Principal, to step forward and also remain down front while information is shared for both the Student Service Award recipient and for the Volunteer of the Month for York River Academy. First, we have our Student Service Award recipient, Mrs. Goodwin, if you could please introduce him.
The Student Service Award winner for the year for York River Academy is Davis Scheid.
Scheid.
I apologize. Scheid. Sorry, honey.
If you could come on down.
Davis is the son of Dwayne and Heather Scheid. Davis is in his junior year at YRA and has grown every year in his skills as a leader within the classroom, school, and his community. The son of a public school teacher and a National Park Service employee, Davis has grown up understanding the role of service to others. He chose to come to YRA to be in a small, supportive environment and has found his niche in every way. Davis is currently #1 in his class and has challenged himself every year to take the most difficult courses provided at YRA, as well as some additional virtual courses. While a standout academically, it is Davis's quiet, kind demeanor with just the right amount of witty humor that makes him so well loved by his peers and teachers. Davis never says no to opportunities to grow and has volunteered for things big and small within the school and through Boy Scouts in his community all 3 years he's been at YRA. This year has brought all of the small acts of service into focus as he took on the task of planning his Eagle Scout project to support York River Academy. Davis approached the staff at YRA in the summer of 2023 about the possibility of giving back to the school as part of his Eagle Scout project. He worked with Scout leaders, teachers, the administration, and his peers to determine the most valuable project he could do for the school. He decided on designing and building extra raised garden beds to augment the ones already in place at YRA. The gardens support the environmental club, environmental science, biology, and the history classes. Students love taking things from seed to table, and this project will allow the possibility of expanding the gardens to provide vegetables through the spring, summer, and fall to YRA students, Boys and Girls Club, and the greater YMS community. While this large project highlights Davis's desire to give back, it is the quiet daily service and leadership that stand out. He is the first to volunteer, the one to speak up and promote the benefits of the YRA program, and a solid friend to everyone. Davis is simply the role model of what we can hope for all of our YRA students.
And Mr. Richardson, if we could have our Volunteer of the Month for York River Academy introduced.
Yes, if Eric Bauer would come forward, please. So the York River Academy staff and students would like to thank Eric Bauer for the service he provided YRA community this year. Eric initially came to YRA to volunteer directly with a student taking virtual AP Calculus AB courses. This daunting task was made for Eric's math skills. Coming to us from Christopher Newport University, Eric is a proud YCSD alumni, having graduated from Grafton High School and attending New Horizons Governor's School for the Science and Technology during his time as a student. His success working with one student soon multiplied as he was quick to step in and help students preparing for the Algebra 1 SOL. Eric could often find a different way of explaining a concept to the students that the students appreciated his quiet yet energetic approach to helping them. Eric can turn algebra, calculus, and even elementary math into easy understand chunks that allow students to grasp the topics and feel confident in their progress and understandings. Eric uses his love of math trivia, gaming, Star Wars, and chess to connect with the students and challenge them. He has held many jobs in the YCSD, as he was instructional associate at Grafton High School, student coach during the summer academy. He was tutoring at Tab Elementary, and he also has been tasked with assisting a recently enrolled student make a smooth transition to Grafton High School as a student coach. He will graduate from Christopher Newport University with a BS in math in August, and he will continue his education and plans to earn a master's in education next year. Congratulations, Eric. Thank you.
Next, we have the York Foundation for Public Education presentation. Mr. Schaefer, could you
Yes.
please share comments?
Yes, come on up, Glennis. I'd like to invite Ms. Glennis Ellis, York Foundation for Public Education member, to step forward and assist Dr. Shandor as he presents gifts to each of our award recipients. Please come up front when you hear your name called. Congratulations to Lee Marr, a third grader from Mount Vernon Elementary School, for reciting the Pledge of Allegiance at tonight's school board meeting. We would also like to recognize tonight's Student Service Award recipients. Boomy Pothik and Emmeline Kaiser from Mount Vernon Elementary School. There you go. Julia Good from Tabb High School. And Davis Scheid from York River Academy. We also congratulate our seniors of the month. Caleb Kuchar from Bruton High School. Arusha Sirastava from Grafton High School. Ella Marston from Tabb High School. Ryan Inge and Matthew Fan from York High School. And Ricky Barton from York River Academy. Yeah, there you go. Special gifts from Cookie Text and Edible Tweet are being presented on behalf of the York Foundation for Public Education Incorporated in partnership with their donor, Gene Fioca of Cookie Text and Edible Tweet. A Walmart gift card is also being donated by a foundation supporter. Join me in congratulating all our award recipients.
Are all the pictures taken? Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Congratulations, everyone. At this time, if Dr. Shandor, if you could remain up front, we have a few more awards to present. At this time, we have the Virginia School Board's Tidewater Spring Regional Forum Student Art Contest Winner Recognition. That's a mouthful. Mr. Richardson, since you helped plan this event, would you please say a few words and introduce our winners?
Yes, the Virginia School Boards Association held a student art show on April 25th, 2024 at the 2024 Tidewater Regional Spring Forum. The student art from elementary, middle, and high school levels represent each of the 16 school divisions in the competition. We had 2 students place in the competition. We would like to congratulate Olivia Hyde. Is Olivia here tonight? Yeah, come right on up. Olivia won first place at the middle school level with her art piece titled Rain. Olivia's art piece has been framed and will be displayed at the VSBA offices in Charlottesville throughout the year. We would also like to congratulate Bryce Moore, who won second place at the elementary level with his piece using pointillism technique. Bryce has a baseball game this evening and unfortunately is not able to be here. But again, we congratulate Olivia and Bryce for their well-deserved recognition.
All right.
And And we have Exemplar Performance Awards. The Virginia Board of Education has announced the 2023-24 Exemplar Performance Awards, and two of our schools have been recognized, Seaford Elementary and York River Academy. Mr. Schaefer, would you share about the award for Seaford Elementary, please?
Sure. I am pleased to announce that Seaford Elementary has received the highest achievement award from the Virginia Board of Education 2023-24 Exemplar Performance Awards. Only 37 schools in the state earned this recognition. The awards are based on performance during the 2022 and 2023 school year. To receive this award, Seaford Elementary had to meet the Level 1 accreditation benchmark for reading, math, and science. Seaford also had to meet a certain threshold for the achievement gap, as well as a chronic absenteeism rate of 15% or lower. And Mrs. Barbara Nagel is the principal, and Sherry Vandegrift is receiving the plaque from Dr. Shandor. Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations to Seaford Elementary for that amazing honor. Next, Mrs. Goodwin will share the award earned by York River Academy.
I am pleased to announce that York River Academy has received the Continuous Improvement Award from the Virginia Board of Education 2023-2024 Exemplar Performance Awards. Only 27 schools in the state earned this recognition. The awards are based on performance during the 2022-2023 school year. York River Academy was selected for demonstrating an increase in the graduation and completion index for each of the past 3 years, with a total increase across the 3 years of 4% or more, and also demonstrated a decrease in the dropout rate for each of the past 3 years, with a total reduction across 3 years of 15% or more of the first year's dropout rate. I would like to ask Ms. Holly Sheffield, principal, and Ms. Stephanie Barber to, it's okay, to receive that plaque.
Congratulations to York River Academy on that amazing award. I believe that's all of the awards for today. We'll now move on to Accent on Academics. Dr. Shandor, could you please share information about that tonight?
I sure can. Good evening, board members. This evening, Bruton High School will be presenting information regarding engaging educational experiences through STEM. Bruton High School students have engaged in real-world, hands-on learning experiences through STEM and educational technology throughout the school year. Students showcase their customized learning projects using tools like 3D printers and laser cutters, demonstrate their content knowledge through video recording and editing, and highlight how they engaged with the K-12 Panther community at the Bruton Zone STEM Night. Though these powerful learning opportunities are just a few examples of how Bruton students are becoming future-ready graduates. I would like to invite Mr. Aaron McQuillan, Bruton High School principal, Ms. Denise Fisher, along with some students to come up to the podium to present to the board.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Schaefer, members of the board, Dr. Shandor. On behalf of the staff and students of Bruton High School, I appreciate the opportunity to highlight the extraordinary work my instructional innovation coach and staff at Bruton High School has contributed, and specifically how she has supported students and teachers with real-world, hands-on learning experiences while supporting the standards of learning. I'd like to introduce Denise Fisher, Bruton High School's instructional innovation coach.
Good evening. Bruton High School students have been provided with numerous opportunities to express their creativity, become problem solvers, and utilize voice and choice through STEM and educational technology that promotes future-ready graduates. Tonight we will showcase the Learning Commons Makerspace, student engagement in the classroom, and family engagement. I would like to now introduce Caleb Couture, a BHS senior.
This year, during our academic enrichment period, students signed up for 30-minute sessions in the Learning Commons Makerspace to learn how to use and create with our 3D printer, Cry-Cut, and sublimation printer. Also, we were able to collaborate with a BHS parent, Mr. Goins and his son Eric, a student at BHS who graciously allowed our students access to an X-Tool laser cutter. These machines and their software provide students with job place skills that taught them mistakes are part of the process. Trial and error helped them create products such as custom t-shirts, coasters, keychains, and personalized tumblers. Collaborations with the IIC and our volunteers made every session productive and worthwhile. One of the results of the 3D printer that I made myself, I would like to introduce Ms. Nelson, a BHS teacher, and Christoph Schweitzer, a BHS 9th grader. They will discuss student engagement in the classroom.
Good evening. In English classes, students were asked to use the English standards to research, choose a topic, and use evidence from nonfiction sources to form an opinion. They created an argument either for or against the topic. These topics became passion project podcasts, and some examples were the effect of homelessness on teens' futures and how music programs increase student engagement. In other English classes, students produced and edited videos using green screen technology. These videos showed mastery of topics researched in class, illustrating distinct types of bias in the media. In film studies, students scripted, recorded, and edited a monthly news program, Panther News. The program consists of local, school, and world news and various segments such as short films, student interviews, and comedy specials. Students learned the basics of researching, scripting, filming, and editing.
Hello, and welcome to Panther News. I am your host, Jordan Penny. We have a lot of good stuff today, including new world news, exciting mysteries, and exclusive interviews. And stick around to the end to figure out how you can be a part of Panther News next year, too. But first, sports with Brady and Leon.
Hello, I'm Leon, the captain of the men's tennis team, and this is...
Graphic design arts classes created original designs and made t-shirts.
In biology, students utilize various materials to make mitosis come alive. They recreated the process of mitosis, where a cell divides into two identical daughter cells, using a stop-motion app to create a short video of the process.
World History 2 classes created a Canva presentation, Urban Games, to simulate the challenges presented during the Industrial Revolution, the demographic transition, and the process of urbanization in cities and towns. This activity was originally designed to be completed on paper, but with the collaboration of Mrs. Fisher, we redesigned it using 21st century skills. By using an electronic presentation, students were able to review the evolution of their imagined town and determine what they could have done differently if they had known the outcome. The video clip is the result of growth based on current needs of the town, and picture represents the knowledge of knowing the outcome. Two vastly different results. These are just some examples of how BHS students show their mastery of the content while using creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking skills to complete objectives.
Instructional innovation coaches from the 4 Bruton Zone schools, Will Bennett, myself, and Michelle Moses, created, planned, and coordinated and implemented the Bruton Zone Art and STEM Family Engagement Night on April 18th. Several community partners, teachers, and high school student volunteers joined us to provide hands-on make-take activities for K-12 students. Approximately 300 students and families from Magruder and Waller Mill Elementary Schools, Queens Lake Middle School, and Bruton High School attended. We would like to thank Mr. Schaefer as well, Bruton Zone School Board member, for attending. Some of the highlights included William and Mary's Minority Association of Pre-Medicalist Students. They conducted several experiments with our students. Bruton High School's Chemistry Honor Society. They did several activities as well, from dazzling detergent writing hidden messages to kinetic sand. Sodexo did a tomato activity with their students, and Williamsburg Farm Camp and local beekeeper brought a beehive out to show the importance of honeybees and keeping them alive. We had Waller Mills music teacher, Mrs. Lensemeyer, and art teacher, Mrs. Kobe, who ran the mystery music Makey stations. It's creating a circuit with a Makey and a graphite pencil to make a piece of paper, basically play a piano. Students played the piano and they guessed the mystery songs. High school students volunteered at various hands-on and make-and-take stations, pixel art with perler beads, Lego sculptures, drawing with robots, and they supported the entire event. Fun was had by all.
Thank you for allowing us to share the engaging experiences happening at Bruton High School and the impact our instructional innovation coach and faculty have had on students' learning and engagement. Do you have any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I was just going to make a comment. It was an awesome night. I went up and I couldn't believe how many people were there. I compared it to last year, and it just blew it away. And they had so many neat things going on. I mean, from chemistry to bees to Sodexo to everything. I mean, it was a great night. It really was. Thank you.
Just would like to make a comment. Just to see you guys involved in doing this, it's so amazing to see that. I was at the Career Technical Education Committee in your school probably about a month ago, and we had the trophy that you guys printed for that.
Yeah.
Yes, that was like very interesting. It was intricate, and it's like, no, it's complicated, and it was told to me it was designed and built in there in the school. So I just want to say, keep up great work to you teachers, and your staff. Just kudos to all of you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Richardson?
Yeah, just a question for the students. What did you like best about this whole program? I mean, you have the 3D printer, the video thing where you can be on TV. I mean, what did you like the best?
I participated in the biology, the mitosis demonstration. It really helped just visualizing the process. I mean, seeing a PowerPoint presentation is really just not as enriching as actually getting to draw it out and seeing your animation. It also helped with teamwork. It was done with teams, and just a really fun experience. So keeping engaged and active in the classroom was very helpful.
Good deal. Thank you. Great job.
Mrs. Goodwin?
I was involved in both the Makerspace as well as Panther News for film studies, both of which were great opportunities to get creative in ways you don't often while in school, especially with Panther News, the necessary team components, as Christoph previously mentioned. They're very interesting ways to get involved and get creative that you don't really see as often in the school environment, which has been really nice to be involved in.
Good deal.
I just want to ask a question about do you do a daily sports podcast? Is that part of the Panther News, or is that just a?
They have done some of that. Sorry, I need to talk over here. We haven't done podcasting in the usual event, like a lot of schools have done it. They've done it a lot more in conjunction with school projects and different things. They have brought some of it in with the Panther News, but usually they're doing more of the green screen technology so that they can drop in backdrops and different things for them when they're doing the news.
I thought it was awesome. Good job.
And I guess I have questions for the students themselves. What do you see taking any of these individual things or groups of things into the future with you, like for next year for school or into your future? Did this spur something that you want to really pursue?
For me, it just kind of helped me see just how much like hands-on demonstrations can help. Specifically, the mitosis, what's it called? Slideshow. It showed me when I really, instead of just writing on a notes page, when you bring, especially science and math can often be just done on a page. When you really bring that to life, it really spurs interest. And so, yeah, I'm going to carry that forward.
And then, as I believe, brought up at one point, the idea that mistakes are part of the process is definitely something I want to take forth with myself. In the 1 or 2 things I did design for the 3D printer, I think I ran for one of them 3 or 4 failed test prints before I actually got one that worked. And that idea that you just have to keep pushing forward and trying again is, I think, really valuable.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that's one of the things that Thomas Edison discovered a while ago, that you just make the mistakes and it lets you know what you still, need to work towards, and then you get it. And that's wonderful, and we look forward to seeing all the wonderful things you do in the future. Thank you. At this time, the board will take a short recess so that we can meet tonight's award recipients and give them an opportunity to take photos. I now reconvened this meeting this evening. At this time, we usually have our invocation. Mrs. Goodwin, I believe we're missing someone.
Our speaker tonight is not here, so I propose that we just observe a moment of silence.
Thank you. We'll take a brief moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, we have unfinished business from the last meeting. We're rescheduling the board retreat date and information about that. In order to have discussion, if I could have the chair will entertain a motion at this time.
So I make a motion to set up you talk about time?
Yes,
Or
the date.
The date for the board retreat.
Okay, do you have a date?
Oh, for May 31st, I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's been moved to have the board retreat on May 31st. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. The board retreat motion for May 31st has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion at this time?
I would just like to make another comment. There's actually another reason I'm unable to attend the retreat. It turns out that Mr. Sylvester, the attorney who's speaking, is actually representing someone who's suing VSBA, and I'm on the board of directors for VSBA, so it would be a conflict of interest for me to attend as well. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Richardson. I don't know if that's the individual who'll be doing that. We haven't decided who's doing everything yet.
Okay, so the agenda is not the same.
Well, the agenda's the same. I don't know if the speakers or the presenters are the same yet. Right
Okay.
now, we're just focusing on the date of May 31st.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion for May 31st? Mrs. Howard, if you could read the motion, please, and take the vote.
A motion was made by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mrs. Goodwin to approve the rescheduling of the board retreat to May 31st. Mr. Richardson?
No.
Mr. Schaefer?
No.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 3-2.
Thank you. Are there any other motions pertaining to the retreat?
I would like to make a motion, just to clarify it, that agenda that's going to be handled at that meeting would be as presented previously with topics including covering Code of Virginia Chapter 7, 22.1, 79 powers and duties, S&Q 5, quality of classroom instructions and educational leadership, then SOQ 7, school board policies, and boards, norms, and protocols of the board.
Thank you. Are you proposing for anybody in particular to do
I'm
this?
sorry, for the SBMA as proposed for previous meeting.
Do we have a second for Mr. Pyovich's motion?
I'll do a second.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to follow the same agenda as the last time with SBMA organizing the presenters. Is there any discussion regarding this? Any further discussion? All right, Mrs. Howard. Oops, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Schaefer?
I was just going to say, I don't want to go to the SBMA. I don't believe in what they stand for. I don't believe in their organization. And I think it's not good for us to align ourselves with them. Thank you.
So, Mr. Schaefer, I would like to ask you just quick questions. Like, no, I understand, like, no, with the SBMA organization that you're not want to align and everything. But are you opposing the training in general? Because the topics that are presented is the one that I'm looking for to be mainly presented, because there is no political issues on those things. It's
No,
just,
I don't have any problem with
so I would challenge you
topics.
to come to the meeting and actually experience firsthand actually what this topic is going to be and the training is going to happen.
I don't want the county to see me as aligning with the SBNA. And that's what would happen if I came.
Okay.
So that won't be happening.
Is there any further discussion? All right, Mrs. Howard, if you could read the motion.
A motion was made by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mrs. Goodwin for the board retreat agenda to be as presented previously, to include presentations by the SBMA. Mr. Richardson?
Abstain.
Mr. Schaefer?
No.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. 3-1, I'm sorry,
Thank you, with one abstention, correct?
with one abstention.
That's all right. Thank you very much. Now, at this time, we'll be, since we have selected the date and the agenda, Mrs. Howard, if you would please make sure so that we're following the FOIA regulations, that it gets posted on the same date that it's planned, that will need to be posted today on the calendar. Is that correct, Mrs. Berry?
It does need to be posted contemporaneously with when it's issued to the board members.
Right. So since it's been issued to the board today, selecting May 31st, it needs to be posted today. And since the motion was made and passed also for the agenda, that agenda also needs to be posted with the announcement of the board retreat. And we'll double check with the sheriff's office to make sure that's still available. I had talked with Sheriff Montgomery, and he said tentatively, but we haven't, officially put it in. I was just kind of throwing out there, if it was available, to see if that could be addressed. So we'll make sure that that's on schedule, and we'll be able to do that.
Let me ask a question. Has the new agenda been sent to Ms. Howard? Are we posting the old agenda? Because I heard two different things. I heard we
Well, we
weren't sure
don't-
who was speaking at the first part of this.
The agenda that Mr. Pyavich read, it's those particular topics. We don't know yet who's doing the presentations, so we can post the topics. We know SBMA has been voted on to organize the presentations, but we don't have the names yet of the presenters.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's clear for Ms. Howard. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. At this time, let's see, we move on. Sorry about that. Presentation, board members doing the committee updates. Let's see, we'll start with Mr. Schaefer for District 1.
I have YFPE. We had a meeting last Thursday. I would encourage everybody that plays golf, is interested in golf, has heard of golf, to show up for the golf tournament. That is our biggest fundraiser for the year, and all of the funds that are raised go to the grants and scholarships that we give to our teachers and schools. It all stays in York County. It's just for York County School District. They aren't aligned with the school district, but they are a charitable organization that takes care of giving the scholarships and the teacher grants and things. So it was a very good time. If you ever want to be on the YFPE, that would be, you just approach me and I will put you in touch with the right people to become a trustee on the York Foundation for Public Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving right along for District 2. Sorry, Mr. Pyavich.
Yes, as far as the committees, we didn't have any major official meetings, but for the New Horizons, we did have Career Selection Day that happened on Thursday, May 9th. One of the amazing events that I was actually honored to be present. What happened there, like the graduates of the New Horizons get invited, actually were offered job opportunities by many employers, and I'll just name a few of them, like Army National Guard, AutoZone, Branscombe, Structures, Howmet, Lieber, Seaford Scallop Company, Walsh Electric, Warwick Mechanical, Newport News Shipyard. They reached out to those students during the school, recognized their potential, and offered them a job opportunity at the graduation. What really was interesting to me, kind of to witness that all of those children that are graduating, that got the job, how proud they are for what they accomplished, and that they are having a job opportunity straight from the school. It just reminded me of how often we forget to have that excitement of our jobs and what we do when we get up to deliver. So it was just eye-opening for me to just kind of spark that in me again, that the desire to do better and show to my children and children around me that we are actually proud and happy to do what we do. So that would be my update for today.
Thank you very much. And for District 3, Mrs. Goodwin.
Thank you. So I am on the GIAC, which is the Gifted Education Advisory Committee. And we met for our final meeting the end of April, and the committee elected new officers to the committee. We also recognized our outgoing committee officers and our high school student liaisons. The board, our board here, helped to interview and select our new 2024-2025 high school GIAC liaisons. And again, thank everybody for making those phone calls and doing those interviews. I'd like to congratulate Lily Perrin of York High School, Sophia Leva of Bruton High School, Cameron Thorson of Tabb High School, and Evan Richards of Grafton High School. They will be our new liaisons, high school liaisons to our GIAC committee. The GIAC bylaws have been updated, and we are actually voting on those tonight. Ms. Sarah Haywood gave an update on some gifted education and number of students referred versus identified for gifted, noting an entire report will be shared at the end of the year, so we'll have that full update. Ms. Christina Head shared a slideshow, an update of the YCSD reading program. Dr. Kevin Valiant gave the committee an overview of the IB program and shared we actually have the largest upcoming IB class this coming fall, comprising 67 students, so that's the largest that we've had. And then Dr. Sherlock gave a presentation on the summer programs as well as an update on their middle school schedule. We have some excellent summer camps that are happening this summer. I was really impressed with some of the things that are on there. We have a cooking camp, just great things, and I encourage all parents who have children in the school to really take a look at some of those camps and see if you can get your children into those. So that's my update.
Thank you very much. From District 4, Mr. Richardson.
Yeah, I'm on the WHRO committee, and our meeting is next week, so I have nothing to report right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have SEAC, which is the Special Education Advisory Committee, and their last meeting of the year, the school year, is tomorrow at the school board office at 6 p.m. I would love to see more people attend, and you can either go online or you can attend in person. We'd love to see more participation. I know they're growing in order to make sure that our special ed students, are getting what they need and are being included in a lot of the different activities in our schools. So we definitely want to hear from the parents as well as the community about that. And at that time, we now move into the comments of citizens. Now, we have 2 opportunities to speak this evening. According to the agenda, the first one is for general topics. The second group is regarding school board salaries for next year, 2024 to 2025. And before I open for public comments, I'll go ahead and I'll share some reminder remarks. Please remember this, the topics are germane to the business of the school board, and we expect each speaker to be courteous. Y'all did a better job of it last meeting, and I want to thank you all for that, because remember, we're being examples to the students in how to participate in public discourse and civil discourse along with that. Hopefully, I would rather not have to, read some of things, but once again, please be aware of the time, that when there's lengthy applause and cheering and things like that, it takes time away from other people being able to speak, as well as if you applaud during the time people speak, it takes away time from their 3 minutes. Everybody just has the 3 minutes to speak, and we'll be going through everybody tonight. So just want to remind you of that. You are not to make comments to the speakers or to the dais, any of the things, unless you are actually at the podium for your designated time. You're not allowed to just blurt things out from your seat. Just wanted to remind everybody of that. I think we'll do all right this evening. Moving along there.
Ms. Fairman, can I ask a quick question? I apologize.
Sure.
Do we have a time for the retreat?
According to the agenda from the last one that Mr.
I just want to make sure Ms.
Pivich.
Howard could post the
From
time correctly.
8:30
Yeah,
to 2:30.
Yeah, 8:30 to 2:30.
Okay.
8:30 is the arrival. The presentations start at 9, and they go through, and the planned adjournment is 2:30.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking that. I apologize for not.
Should the location be tentative, or should we put the sheriff's office?
Until we make sure that everything, when I talked to Sheriff Montgomery, he said the same 2 rooms were available, but I told him, I said, we haven't voted for it yet, so it's not definite, and I'd get back with him. So, Mrs. Howard, if you could get back with him tomorrow, that would be great. Thank you so much. And then as soon as we know that can be posted. Wonderful. I'm going to call for the first 6 people to come up so that we can run through these things smoothly. Let's see, number 1 is Pam Pouchot, and if I mispronounce your name, I sincerely apologize. Number 2 is Steve Schreifer? Okay, sorry about that. Number 3, Tom Jett. Number 4, Randy Eaton. Number 5, Danielle Francis. Number 6, Nicole Living. All right, number 1, Pam Pouchot.
The previous, Pam Pouchot, District 4.
Thank you.
York County. The previous meetings have been an embarrassment. You 3 newcomers thought you could run a board meeting with little training and no experience. You can't, and you've proved it. It is past time to step down, spend at least a year learning, and then vote yourselves back into your current positions. May I suggest starting the regular meetings at 6:30 so you can provide a full hour of citizens' comments. If you don't need the full time, you can go home early. Potentially cutting time to 1 minute only proves that you have no interest in hearing the concerns of the citizens that you represent. You could also designate no more than 10 minutes for the meet and greets after the award ceremonies. I was alarmed and disgusted when I learned of your designated presenter, Attorney Michael Sylvester of the Founding Freedoms Law Center, at the proposed retreat. This is from his website. Founding Freedoms Law Center was officially launched on July 1, 2020 as a direct response to the recent onslaught of anti-family, anti-freedom, and anti-faith initiatives in Virginia through numerous unjust laws that went into effect the same day. The 2020 General Assembly session marked as a significant shift in our Commonwealth with the passage of the unprecedented number of new laws aimed at destroying innocent unborn lives, God's design for male and female, the nuclear family, parental rights, and the most basic notions of religious freedom. The Family Foundation of Virginia recognize that the need to increase our capacity to fight for God-given foundational freedoms and against oppressive and unjust government edicts, not only in the executive branch and the General Assembly, but also in the courts. This law firm sues school boards, including Goochland, Suffolk, Loudoun County, as well as the VSBA. Their intent is to turn public schools into ultra-far-right religious schools without any rights for LGBTQ students. With their beliefs, history and science will be rewritten based on falsehoods where there is no room for factual material. This retreat is about altering public education policy to meet your personal, religious, and conspiracy beliefs. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are not something you choose to endorse. The opposite of diversity is sameness. All students who are white, Christian, heterosexual, American-born children would meet your criteria. The opposite of equity is discrimination. The opposite of inclusion is exclusion. Only those who meet the stated criteria need apply. I do not want to believe most of the students, staff, and parents think that any of this is acceptable. But you do, and the sad thing is, you believe in your bigotry. With almost 4 years left in your term, you may succeed in dismantling our educational system and installing ignorance, discrimination, and narrow-mindedness. I truly hope York County will not allow this.
Thank you. Number two, Steve Schriefer. Please state your name and your district.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Steve Schriefer, and I reside in District 4. My wife teaches in District 5 at Bethel Manor and has had the privilege of teaching our military-dependent children for over 34 years of classroom instruction that concludes at the end of this school year. I also have a daughter teaching in District 3 at Yorktown Elementary. I am extremely proud of them both. Ms. Fairman, you routinely flaunt board policy, county ordinances, the laws of the Commonwealth, and the rights guaranteed to each of us by the United States Constitution, all in direct violation of your oath of office. The First Amendment guarantees the right to free speech and to the petition the government for redress of grievances. There was today, as with all meetings, sign-up sheets for public speaking. This is in effect a contract that those who sign up will have their voices heard during the sessions. Your actions in past meetings violated this contract and the public's right to redress the government. I would encourage any member of the public who signed up prior to the meetings and were unable to speak, or those who signed up after the meeting and surrendered their time, to seek legal counsel for fair and just compensation for the denial of your constitutional rights by Ms. Fairman. You also have denied Mr. Richardson and Mr. Schaefer the right to redress your decisions regarding the public speaking sessions, and in doing so denied the constituencies of the right to redress the government, as these gentlemen represent and speak for us as one on the school board. Your actions were and continue to be untenable to your position. With regards to the contract you entered with the SBMA, without consulting the other members of the board, you violated York County Ordinance 23-3 that states that only the Central Purchasing Office may enter into contracts, and any contract signed without doing so is void and the responsibility of the signatory, you, Ms. Fairman. I checked with the CPO office and they have no record of that contract in their possession. If SBMA wants their money, you alone are responsible for payment. This strikes at your incompetence, and it does not surprise me SBMA did not give you good legal advice considering the contract. You have also neglected your duties of not responding to my emails. I sent you an email eight days ago, followed up 2 days later. I have yet to hear from you, and I know I'm not alone as far as members of the community. By violating your oath of office, neglect of your duties, and incompetence in the performance of your duties, the citizens of District 5 have the right to have you recalled from office. With 462 signatures from citizens of District 5, since your district had 4,615 votes cast for their school board member, I highly encourage them to begin the process. I also strongly encourage the other board members to forward a motion to have you removed as chair to help begin the needed healing of the public's faith in the York County School Board. Have a great day.
Thank you. Number 3, Tom Jett.
Good evening. As you said, I'm Tom Jett. I'm a 5th District resident. I have 2 girls who attended YCSD. The youngest graduated in 2020. Before I begin my comments, I'd like to just at least remind everybody, regardless of what your side you are on, we are all caring, thoughtful people who are most interested in our children, our children's education, and their future. So I wish we would not be able or not have these personal attacks, but regardless, I wish everyone would remember that. We all come from this maybe from different perspectives, but we have the same goal in mind. I first addressed the board back in February, where I implored everyone to, particularly those that were outspoken at the time, to please just calm down, let you, the new board members, get your seat, get your footing, and get established. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and the vitriol has only grown. In my estimation, since then, I've attended every one but one of these public meetings. A small, well-organized, politically motivated group, in my opinion, persists in their personal, as we've seen tonight already, assault on these new board members, aided by two accomplices and saboteurs, in my opinion, who sit on the board, as well as a friendly, supportive media in Wavy 10. Like it or not, district voters voted for change in 2023. As a brief reminder, the margin of victories for these three new board members was between 5.7 and nearly 24%. Since then, the board has tried repeatedly to attempt to establish itself in its own right, adhere to established policy and decorum, only to be publicly challenged, sabotaged, and in my view, from within. You don't have to agree with the chair or the co-chair all the time, but you don't have to openly subvert what they're trying to do. Parents across the nation, in my opinion, were awakened during the COVID year of Zoom school to things they saw happening in the classroom they didn't particularly like. I was one of them. I'm not saying that what we saw on the media necessarily was happening in York County, but to me, it presented an image of what might be happening. So I wanted to get involved. So it made parents aware of what could be happening in district, unbeknownst to them. In my opinion, that is what drove a lot of voters for change across the school board, or school district. Since the election, newly seated board members have again undergone unprecedented character assaults and coming from local groups. That's only served to prove to myself that I made the right decision in November, and that I should be suspicious of what's happening. Finally, I know my time is short. I would just like to say to county residents, if you're watching this on cable access channel, I urge you to come down and participate in these in August when the meetings resume.
Thank you,
You'd be
Mr. Jett.
enlightened. Thank you very much. And I support the school board.
Number 4, Randy Eaton.
My name is Randy Eaton. I'm from District 1. I know each and every one of you, and I want to thank you for stepping up and doing this. This is not easy for any of you up here doing this. I always want to speak positive. I always want to try to find out what exactly is going on. I'm not going to come up here to this microphone and start accusing people, quoting this and quoting that. That's not going to help. I support York County schools for 45 years. Now, since February, I have traveled all over the 1st Congressional District, and I met with 12 different committees. And they all talked about their school boards. It is not unusual at all, in the least bit, when new members come on the board, the old members, there's a conflict. Now, that's 12 committees that I went to and talked to them. You know, this is what it is. You guys got to work it out. All of you got to work this out, okay? I want to thank you. You shouldn't have to be doing this. We should all be working together, but it doesn't seem that way. But it's just a different zip code, but it's all the same problem. All these 12 other school boards that I had the pleasure of talking to people that were on those boards, this is what happens when new people get on. You know, there's 5 districts in York County. 4 of them, since I'm the number 4 speaker tonight, 4 of those, 3 of you out of the 5 got on here. And I know that you're friends, that you were up here for years, that you all worked together. So I'm just asking you all, Just put this stuff aside, this little stuff, let some of this stuff just go over, and let's all get together, all right? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 5, Danielle Francis.
Good evening, Danielle Francis, District 2. Tonight I have the honor of speaking on behalf of Barbara Haywood from District 1. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Shandor, although I am unable to be with you, my absence in no way lessens the grave concerns I have for your unprofessional and inappropriate actions over the last weeks. The April regular board meeting made it increasingly more evident that you need leadership training to professionally facilitate a school board meeting. It is clear you do not know the difference between policy and procedure. You appear so intent on changing policy to meet your needs and assert authority that you refuse to listen to your own board members and attorney. You have not reviewed your current policies and the existing platform for presenting change to policy. Please, share with the public the specific reasons the existing process, which has served YCSD extremely well, now needs to be changed. The new members of this school board have shown lack of professionalism, transparency, communication, ethics, and accountability. Your reckless actions are setting this division up for an avoidable lawsuit. If you are not able to fulfill your sworn duties in the best fashion for all students, one would assume that you are incapable or don't desire to do so. The York County community deserves and demands more. While I know that the proposed retreat using SBMA was canceled, I would like to remind you that you did in fact vote to join VSBA. By contract, you are to receive training from them. It was an insult to learn that you engaged with SBMA to provide your training prior to even seeking board approval. I implore you to contract with VSBA for your retreat and leadership training. Your retreat is a time of team building, setting the vision, mission, and goals for the next 4 years with the superintendent and staff. Lastly, let me address my concern about the chair refusing to allow citizens who signed up the opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting. Large numbers of citizens show up when they are concerned. In the past, it was over issues related to redistricting, asbestos, or specific educational concerns. It's evident the large turnout of citizens is now because of you, your inappropriate actions, inflammatory statements, and controversial baggage of your social media. If you are this uninformed about professionalism, policy, and understanding what to do, what then does this say about your ability to lead? Barbara S. Haywood.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Living, if you can hang on just a minute, I'm going to call the next 6 people, so they're waiting behind you. Thank you. Number 7, Dr. Alan Kennedy. Number 8, Christy Chamberlain. Number 10, Todd Hoagland. Number 11, Elizabeth Brantley. And number 12, Diane Smith. We'll give a little bit of time for them to line up so they don't disrupt your speaking.
Sure.
Okay, Nicole Living, if you could go, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Nicole Living. I live in District 3. Good evening, Dr. Shandor, board members. I wanted to highlight something positive that I saw at the May 6th working session. During a discussion with district transportation staff about how to better recruit and retain bus drivers, the chair suggested using a survey to capture feedback from folks in the field to understand better their needs and challenges. This suggestion was well received by the district staff, and I think it's a great example of the type of cross-functional collaboration that can result in adding a lot of value. All of the school board members have different personal and professional experiences, and those different perspectives, when combined, can really help problem solve for our faculty, staff, students, and their families. So well done, truly. There was one thing, however, that stood out to me during that discussion, and that's that the chair recommended that the survey be anonymous, so as to more effectively solicit feedback without the participants fearing any type of retaliation. That makes perfect sense. So why then do the chair and the vice chair not understand the value of that same anonymous feedback option for the YCSD community? Considering the school board is the final arbiter of personnel decisions and in some cases student decisions, why do you think it's appropriate to remove yourselves from the Let's Talk platform? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7, Dr. Alan Kennedy.
Good evening. I'm Alan Kennedy, 116 Stegg Street, a proud member of District 1. And I believe everybody in this room, as well as each of you, have a what's labeled an SBMA training contract agreement, which is between the School Board Member Alliance. Those of you who have read the news know that this is a right-wing organization that has no staff attorneys. And it is between the SBMA and the school board here. And this agreement was effective for May 10th, 2024 from 9 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. To provide a 3.5-hour training session focused on topics related to effective school board governance and so on. The retreat topics that 3 of the 5 of you just voted to reschedule. This contract binds the York County School Board to pay the SBMA $2,800, that's $2,800 for the services under this agreement. There's a provision that it's somewhat unclear, but it may obligate the school board to pay this even if there is a breach of this agreement or the services are not provided. And it is signed by Linda J. Fairman, Chair, York County School Board. It's handwritten. There's a signature as well. That was redacted by the FOIA officer appropriately. It's dated 30 April 2024. So my first question, Ms. Fairman, did you sign this contract?
Yes.
And did you have the approval of the entire board?
I thought I did through other procedures that I will explain during my board minutes. Thank you.
You thought you did, but you didn't, did you? You did not have the approval of this board. And in fact, that is a violation of the Code of Virginia, Section 22.1-71. It's also a clear violation of your own board's policies. It may be a violation of other laws, but that's the extent of my research so far. I do recommend you talking to your board attorney, not the SBMA, since, again, they don't have any staff attorneys. So I wanted to follow up and ask you, since you admit for the first time tonight that you did not have the approval of this board, is this contract now invalid, since it appears to be illegally signed?
Mrs. Story has already sent an email recently and stated that it is null and void since the retreat did not take place on May 10th.
But now you are rescheduling. Are you rescheduling under this contract?
No. That contract is null and void per SBMA and Mrs. Story.
And is there any contract in place?
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Number 8, Christy Chamberlain.
I'm Christy Chamberlain of District 4. Good evening, members of the board. I felt compelled to speak tonight because I'm concerned about the misrepresentation of data regarding SOLs and student achievement that has been pushed by Mr. Pajovic at the last 2 regular school board meetings. On March 25th, Mr. Pajovic used his board matters time to display a graph on the screen and state that he decided to run for school board because scores on the SOLs were declining and that we as a society are declining. That is a worrisome statement to say the least. On April 22nd, Mr. Pajovic spoke about the same graph again and referenced the decline in writing and history SOL scores, which made it seem like there was something to really worry about, so I became curious. I became concerned when I saw Mr. Pajovic's campaign manager reference the graph on a social media post on May 1st that had nothing to do with student achievement. I thought, now I know why Mr. Pajovic is pushing this graph. I bet someone is pushing him to push it. I decided to dig deeper. Due to FOIA, I was able to see that Mr. Pajovic emailed Candy Skinner, YCSD's chief academic officer, on March 4th about this issue, and he received a very detailed and thorough response from her on March 8th. So he had all this information and time to understand the situation 17 days before he rang alarm bells about student achievement to the public at the March 25th meeting, and 45 days before the April 22nd meeting. I thought it was only fair to come here tonight to explain to the public what Mr. Pajovic and his campaign manager are leaving out. When graphed, it appears that writing scores have been declining since 2010, but there are some key events that have affected scores to keep in mind when looking at this data. Since 2010, 7th and 8th grade students went from daily English classes to every other day. New state English standards were released and harder questions were placed on the SOL, resulting in a change the way that they were scored. Grade 5 students were no longer given the state writing SOL test, and there was a pandemic. All of these events can skew the way data looks on a graph. It is worth mentioning that Virginia has one of the best educational systems in the United States, and within that system, YCSD scores are remaining steady and actually above state level. YCSD SOL scores in writing are 12% higher than the state average. YCSD SOL scores in history are 15% higher than the state average. Now, I'm not even a fan of SOLs. I have personally used standardized testing in my profession for the past 20 years, and I know its limitation. A lot of what standardized testing does is just test a person's ability to take a test. But if we have to use this data, please let's be careful not to manipulate it to look like YCSD is worse off than it is. It is not clear whether Mr. Pajovic is intentionally misrepresenting the data or if he does not understand the whole situation, but the public deserves to know all the facts. Thank you.
So, Ms. Chamberlain, I would like to address you according to this. I want to say thank you so much for bringing this up, because this data is a factual provided by YCSD, and you could actually find those same data within our board meeting presentations. So what you're talking about, it's exactly right. We are performing better than the rest, but we are performing way below than we should. And that's what my concern as a parent is, and it should be as yours. And I think we're on the same page. But calling me out on the data that I manipulated, it's not so true at all. So that's why I'm saying I want to say thank you so much for bringing it out, because everybody here should see it and know it, that we as a school board are recognizing deficiencies. Principals, staff, everybody. And we are fighting together to bring those scores up. So I'm glad that I brought those things up and shine a light on the fact that we are performing better, but not as what we all wanted to do. So thank you so much for bringing it out. Thank you.
I'm not allowed to respond to that.
Thank you. No, you've already had your 3 minutes, but what you can do is the next time, or you can send us all an email to let us know your comments on that. But we need to move on, and Mr. Pajovic was able to speak because it is, according to policy, the board members can respond if they choose so to do that. Number 10, Todd Hoagland.
Sorry, I got to stop laughing. Todd Hoagland from the wonderful District 3. First, I want to officially and publicly thank my principal, Tiana Anthony, for coming to speak at the last school board meeting on my behalf. I was out of the country, and all the other teachers that came with her to defend my honor and defend my name. I appreciate that. As a parent, teacher, and resident, I am well within my rights to speak and to email our board. I'm allowed to email from my work email during work hours about work problems. I've been pointing out problems and offering solutions. I stress to my students all the time that words matter. Your word choice is very important. Harassment, of which I've been accused, is not the same thing as asking questions in emails. I kept emailing after not getting responses, and because I thought the board was held to the same expectation that we as teachers are for timely responses. That shows it's not true. Mrs. Goodwin claims she addressed her racially insensitive comments, but what she actually said was, "I don't support slavery." That is not the same thing as an apology, and people will continue to ask for an apology. What you could have done is said, "I'm sorry for my insensitive post. I will do better in the future." Mrs. Goodwin also told Miss Anthony that she didn't submit paperwork to file harassment claims against myself for my emails because she didn't want it to appear as retaliation. What you should have said is Mr. Hoagland did nothing wrong and it's not harassment. In an email, you called me a part of a group of agitators. Most people call us parents and teachers. Through the FOIA emails, I also learned that you don't understand special education. Should he not be tending to his special education students? My students are not sheep or cattle to be tended to. They're middle school students that are learning about the etymology of and use of various word parts, analyzing literature, and writing reflective expository essays. Special education is a service, not a placement. 85% of Grafton Middle School students with IEPs participate in general education classes. Perhaps you could learn this information if you were to speak or maybe email a special education teacher. I would love to invite you to come to Grafton Middle School to observe what I do in a day. Please come with me as I co-teach 8th grade English and teach structured literacy to 6th graders who cannot read. I believe this board has made some wrong decisions, and you're starting to fix some of them, but there's still many, many more to fix. Associating with the SBMA is wrong, and it needs to stop.
At this time, number 11, Elizabeth Brantley.
My name is Elizabeth Brantley. I reside in District 2. I am the parent of a York County student, and I have been a teacher for 30 years. I spent many prior years in York County schools. I am here tonight to respectfully ask for the resignation of specific school board members. Since it is against policy to address specific school board members, I will direct my comments to the entire board. I realize that asking for resignations is bold, but my sentiments seem to be shared by many in the community. I stand before you as a person who has made many mistakes and had too many moments that were less than my finest. I believe many of us share that experience. So I know that considering a resignation is an affront to all that you believe you are and hope to achieve in your position. Sometimes, however, we find ourselves in places and spaces where our presence is more detrimental to ourselves and others than it is helpful. In such times, we have to rise above our egos and defenses to do the right thing. The right thing is to move on. The right thing is to resign. There is no shame and no defeat in changing course. Rather, it takes courage to admit that mistakes have been made and that no one person or group is more important than the work of educating children. Resigning allows you to control your narrative and to retain your dignity. More importantly to the community, your resignations will allow the school system to move forward with the focus where it should be, on the students and their teachers. Respectfully, I ask for the resignations of those school board members whose presence and actions have disrupted that focus. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12, Diane Smith. And if you could wait just a minute, I'm going to call the rest of everybody that you can go ahead and line up. Number 13, next would be Dr. Leslie Hoagland. Number 14, Albert Tuminello. Number 15, Tammy Deerberger. Number 16, Deborah Wesley. Number 17, Steve Romeo. Number 18, Pete Romeo. Let's see, is there room for 3 more? Back there, I'll go ahead and get to the last 3 that I have here. Number 19, is it Ullen Parm? Sorry. 20, Susan Nightingale. And 22, Bethany Jenkins. All right, Ms. Smith.
Good evening. My name is Diane Smith. I live in District 3. I am going to tell you tonight about Harriet Ann Jacobs, who lived from 1813 to 1897. She was a former slave, an author, and an abolitionist who said that death was better than slavery. Jacobs wrote the earliest firsthand account of slavery in her autobiography, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. She spoke of widespread sexual abuse of slaves by their masters and the selling of the resulting children. She wrote graphic descriptions of auctions of enslaved Americans, the everyday brutality of enslaved Africans, who were also Americans, the everyday brutality of slavery, and the cruelty of the enslavers. The book was published in 1861. Harriet Jacobs escaped slavery at the age of 29 after giving birth to 2 biracial children who had been sold off. She lived as a fugitive for more than 10 years and eventually became a self-educated abolitionist in the North. Slave narratives were either written or orally related by the former slaves. At 1865, at least 50 former slaves wrote or dictated book-length accounts of living in bondage. In 1930, the WPA, an American New Deal government agency, established the Federal Writers Project and gathered personal histories from 2,300 former slaves, enough to fill 40 volumes of work. So, Vice Chair Goodwin, since you were not living during the 240 years of slavery in America, please take the time to read some of the personal accounts of those who actually experienced it and believe them. Then possibly you could understand the state of mind of those who were oppressed with the consent of the government and most of the religious institutions of the day. Pam Pouchot did the research for that, but I am talking about it because I am gravely concerned that this is not an isolated incident here on one person's social media account. It is a nationwide movement to sanitize history, to minimize the damage caused by our nation's embrace of slavery. It is a dangerous trend which not only causes more damage to the descendants of those who were enslaved, but it normalizes acts of brutality toward a people group. And we need to always keep in mind how easy it is to move from thinking of people as other to thinking of them as less than, to considering ourselves, because of nothing except commonality with someone else, to be entitled to more, regardless of the cost to the others. So please think before you talk.
Thank you. Number 13, Dr. Leslie Hoagland.
Good evening, School Board. Leslie Hoagland, District 3. First, I want to congratulate the York High School women's lacrosse team who secured the win at the championship game against War Hill last night. They rallied a huge comeback, being down 4-8 at halftime. Oh, wait, just wait, to end the game 12-8. So way to go, Falcons. All right, so I'm going to start with a quote by Adam Grant, who is an organizational psychologist at the Wharton School of Penn and author of Hidden Potential and Think Again. He says, keeping an open mind is not about lacking moral conviction. It's about maintaining intellectual humility. The people who leave their echo chambers are the ones who know their knowledge is incomplete. And a key to lifelong learning is engaging with others who disagree with you. When I read these words, it gives me a lot of comfort because I don't have to know it all, I don't have to be it all, but I do need to be willing to learn it all. I want to learn and be around people who have experience. I suppose that's where my grievances come from as a parent and as a community member. I do not see the 3 new board members' willingness to learn. I only see your influences of political ideologies that have really no basis on this in our public schools and on this board. On Tuesday, May 7th, around noon, I was eating lunch with my daughter at Carrot Tree at the Yorktown riverfront. We decided to sit outside because it was a beautiful spring day, and we were considering what to order. I overheard a man talking loudly on his cell phone while it was on speakerphone with a very angry-sounding woman. It took me by surprise because of what I was able to overhear. Madam Chair, you were talking with Mr. Mike Peterson, who had you on speakerphone for everyone to hear as you went on about the quote-unquote 17-minute shit show and character assassination, as you referenced the work session meeting from the night prior. I won't share more, but just know that your conversations might not be held in the strictest confidence as you would like them to be. I think you know that the volume of FOIA requests is becoming a problem because of situations like that, and make people curious about what's really going on because of the lack of transparency from the board. It's clear that you and others are under the thumb of Mr. Peterson and the York County Republican Committee and perhaps unable to make your own decisions about the work of the board. and which would explain the forced inclusion of the SBMA training at the rescheduled retreat. I don't know if it's because of your collective incompetence, so that you're easily controlled by a political party that you're so deeply affiliated with, or just your lack of intellectual humility that you believe your behavior is appropriate. You're failing to see your responsibility, and it's continuing to make you look ignorant and foolish, especially when later on in this meeting you're probably going to chastise us for our comments. Clearly, you're here for the wrong reasons and motivations, to appease Mr. Peterson and others rather than those you actually represent. You don't seem to care, and it's quite bewildering to me that you actually are going to ask for a $15,000 increase in raises tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 14, Albert Tuminello.
My name is Albert Tuminello, and I live in District 4. Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. This evening, the words I wish to share with you are not my own. They are a quote from the Bible, Proverbs 24, verses 3 and 4, and then I will give a brief reflection on that reading. And my first thought after reading this proverb was to reflect on the YSCD and the acrimony that has and is occurring at these board meetings. Please hear and search your hearts for the future of the school system and the children of York County. And I quote Proverbs 24, 3 and 4. And it says, "A house is built by wisdom and becomes strong through good sense." Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with all sorts of precious riches and valuables. And I continue with the following excerpt entitled, Making Allowances, and once again, I quote, "Everybody has a fault or two, or 2,000, and we're all very different. But difference isn't bad, but it does cause difficulties. What can we do? Well, the loving response is to humbly and gently make allowances for one another's differences. We patiently learn to accommodate each other's differences, and we adapt to serve each other in unity. Does that mean we accept everything evil or abusive? Well, certainly not. But other than those extremes, we do what we can to bring unity to the relationship. It's not easy, but it's absolutely necessary." And so that's the end of that quote, and with these words, I'll leave you with these thoughts as members of a very important component of the life and makeup of the children of York County. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 15,
And I have a copy of this for each of you, and I will give it to the secretary.
Yeah, give it to Mrs. Howard. Thank you very much. Tammy Deerberger, number 15.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Shandor. I live and reside and pay taxes in District 2, so thank you for the privilege of allowing me to share tonight. I love this community, and I care about the children in our schools. They are tomorrow's future. And so far, I have 4 granddaughters. And so this generation will probably someday be married to my granddaughters. So I care deeply about the students in this county and in our country. I want to stand and publicly say that I support Linda Fairman, Kim Goodwin, and Zoran Pajevich. I am grateful that you've stepped up to this task. You have been slandered, you've been criticized, and it saddens me. I know each of you personally, and I know that you care about the students, the families, the teachers, and the school district, and you want what's best for them. And I say, hang in there. Don't be bullied. Don't take the threats. Don't resign. You need time to learn this job and to do it. Just like anybody that's new in a position, it takes time. And I feel that you were railroaded at the beginning, and it's taken away from your time to learn this job. And so that makes me sick. I will say that I went on Let's Talk today, and all 5 of you are on there, so I don't know why that keeps coming up. And the other thing is your phone numbers and your emails are on the school website. So anybody can reach out to you, and that's what I would say. You know, have a conversation. I know that all of you are accessible and willing to have a conversation. So I just want to say I applaud you, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I pray for you constantly. So thank you.
Thank you. Number 16, Deborah Wesley.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Shandor. My name is Deb Wesley. I am a parent, resident of District 4, division teacher, and president of the York Education Association. I am concerned about the board's continued involvement with the School Board Member Alliance organization. SBMA is led by people who have made social media comments that do not align with the York County strategic plan, specifically the supportive culture. Our school system is committed to providing a safe, welcoming, and caring environment in which all students and staff have a sense of belonging and purpose. When you choose to align yourselves with people that make comments like they have on social media, what message are you sending to the students and staff and community? Some of you have also had those social media comments surface that do not align with the York County strategic plan. I ask you to read this plan over and then read it over again and ask yourselves, do my actions reflect this plan? I respectfully ask that those of you who have individual memberships in SBMA withdraw your membership from this organization. I am also concerned about a school board chair that picks and chooses which policies to follow and which policies to ignore. You want to silence citizen comments by following the public comment policy explicitly, and yet ignore policies about meeting times and agendas and entering into contracts without board approval. If you do not know a policy, ask. If you are not willing to ask about policies and procedures, then I respectfully ask you to resign as chair and allow another board member to take over until such time that you are familiar with the policies and procedures. I do want to thank the board as a whole for passing a budget that includes raises for all employees, approving the HMH into reading curriculum, materials for grades K through 5, asking the hard questions about the rezoning plan and compromising with that. That was not an easy decision to come up with any kind of plan that makes everybody happy. Also, the transportation questions and comments, and that conversation was wonderful to see and hear how you are working together as a board. And continuing to include those student recognitions at meetings. Please ask the hard questions, distance yourself from controversial groups, and review the strategic plan for our school division. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Number 17, Steve Romeo.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Shandor, Steve Romeo, District 3. Thank you for affording us this opportunity to express our views at this meeting. As I mentioned at the April meeting, each one of you members were elected to serve by the voters in your respective districts who took time to exercise their right to vote. And I'm a firm believer that if you don't take the time to vote, then you forfeit your right to complain. I would also like to echo the sentiments of speaker number 4. I did not get his name, but I think our expectation as citizens is for you all to work together. So at the April meeting, some of the citizens and faculty expressed concern over the work environment within our schools. They're our schools. One speaker made reference to an interview of the superintendent by the Williamsburg Yorktown Daily news feed. And I trust that the superintendent is actively in pursuit of resolving those concerns. I'm also concerned about the board's credibility and transparency issues stemming from the June 2022, March 2023, May 2023, and 3 November 2023 issues that were brought before the prior board that the 3 new members have inherited, and I'm hoping that you all can find a path forward during your retreat. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 18, Pete Romeo.
Pete Romeo, my wife and I reside in District 3. To repeat what I said last month, there appears to be a couple of board members investing a lot of time and energy to undermine the efforts of the newly elected members. And I suspect that they have the support of the superintendent. I would recommend, for the benefit of the residents, the parents, the teachers, and especially the students, that energy be refocused on constructive inputs and positive team-building dialogue. Next, since the beginning of the year, I've heard one board member repeatedly use the phrase, "That's not a good look," when referring to matters that have no relevance to the qualifications or performance of another board member or those who support another board member. To help differentiate between anecdotal effect and tangible examples of what constitutes a bad look, I offer the following. June 2022, headline, teacher in York County been accused of sexually abusing a student under her care. March 2023, headline, a teacher at Yorktown Elementary School was arrested after reports that she assaulted a student. May 2023, a brave York High School student addressed the previous school board to express her disappointment at the school board and the school division after a sexual assault on her in January of 2022, committed by another male high school student. I challenge every board member and you, Dr. Shandor, to watch this brave, eloquent, and poised young lady as she addresses the previous board. The timestamp is from 1/06/56 to 1/10/26. November 2023, headline, a 12-year-old special needs student was reportedly assaulted by an employee inside Grafton Middle School. November 2023, headline, a 6-year-old special needs student was reportedly assaulted at Mount Vernon Elementary School by a teacher. November 2023, a teacher at Grafton High School has been arrested and charged after police say they grabbed the student and pulled her hair. Now, these are actual examples of what's not a good look for the York County School Division. You should be focusing your efforts on policies, or the lack thereof, that protect our children from these abuses, rather than focusing on the number of FOIA requests of a concerned citizen or the perfectly appropriate social media posts of board members and their consultants. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Number 19, Ellen Parm.
Ellen Parm. My name is Ellen Parm, and I am a fellow education union member supporting my union family in YEA. As a social studies teacher, we work hard on developing skills for our students, and one of those skills is leadership. Leadership isn't just being elected by your constituents. True leadership involves being held accountable. Like any other skill that is developed through time and experience, it is a leadership skill that involves taking responsibility for actions with a team to create goals, follow through commitments, and communicate openly with your team and the public. I strongly encourage collaboration between the school board and the community, as well as with the local education union. I've been to other school board meetings in Williamsburg, meetings in Newport News and Hampton, and I've never heard public comments like this before. And it's shocking. It is shocking to hear of such behavior
coming from school board members. If we are all to be role models for our students, for our children, and for them to become competent and communicative leaders, then our elected leaders need to show those skills as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 20, Susan Nightingale.
Good evening. My name is Susan Nightingale, and I reside in District 4. Our family relocated 4 years ago to York County. We chose York County School District because of the great schools. I have watched or attended the York County School District Board meeting and work sessions since January. I've been quite disappointed in the behavior of some of the school board members. I'm not here to continue to beat the dead horse. I am choosing not to rehash the harsh statements and comments made by some of the board members, not only to the public, but also to Dr. Shandor. Nor am I here to discuss the undermining of the VSBA, SBMA, document signing without a vote, although this does seem illegal, which obviously tonight I'm disappointed that you guys have decided that the retreat will be with the SBMA. It is my understanding that the school board should be made up of nonpartisan members of the community. Clearly, this is not the case. In a world where we are so divided, it seems, for the sake of our children, you could and should put your own political agendas aside. Let's do what's right for our kids. Our daughter's in the 7th grade at Grafton Middle School. She has an IEP, as I believe there are many students in this county who have and need an IEP or accommodations. I was appalled to hear that one of her teachers was accused of harassment from a school board member because of a few questions that he deserved to have answered. It seems if you choose to seek a public position, then obviously there will be questions by your constituents. Not only should you do your best to answer those questions, but you definitely need to respond in a timely manner. I believe the teachers are given 24 hours to respond to an email. Mr. Todd Hoagland is an exceptional teacher. I know our county is short of teachers, special education teachers, parapros, and aides. So let's try to keep the ones we have instead of running them out of our schools. A couple of months ago, our daughter's case manager decided it was time to move on. You may or may not know, as a parent of a child with learning disabilities and an IEP, the case manager is imperative. She was not only our case manager, she also taught one of our daughter's classes. Not only did we lose a great case manager, we lost a great teacher. As parents, it's very difficult to navigate the special education path. Consistency is a must, not only for children that have specific needs, but for all children. I am thankful that
Thank you very much.
Okay, thankful that you guys continued. Let's try to include a special
Your time
ed
is done.
award.
Thank you.
For special ed
Number
children.
22, Bethany Jenkins.
Good evening. My name is Bethany Jenkins, and I reside in District 4. I wanted to come tonight because, like a lot of parents, I have my eldest finishing 8th grade this year, and that is super exciting and equally terrifying. On top of that, my son is special needs. Because he's in the communications classroom at Grafton Middle School, he has had the privilege of working with some amazing educators over the past 3 years. For those not familiar with the communications classroom, those students are offered the consistent instruction of a single teacher for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Those teachers have paras assigned to their classroom and their small classrooms. I cannot tell you what a privilege it has been to work with Miss Casey Reed. She has been a beacon for my son, a place of hope for my family. Going through the IEP process with her has been easy.
I have very few edits. I have very few concerns because she's an educator that truly has my son's best interests at heart. And I know that I'm emotional because it's my kid and it's not easy. But these are the women and men that mean so much to York County. These are the ones that we need to focus on, that we need to promote, that we need to nurture, and that most importantly, we need to retain. I would love to see more topics about how we can attract and retain fantastic educators in York County. But truly, I cannot say enough about Ms. Casey Reed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Goff, I have a question for you. There were 2 numbers that were turned in. I just want to make sure that they, was it 21? Is number 21 here somewhere? You have your card? Going once, going twice? All right. Okay, number 9 turned it back in. At this time, I will close the public participation for comments. And I will open up the public hearing on proposed school board salaries for 24 and 25. For that one, number 1, Michael Peterson. Is Mr. Peterson here?
If I can, Ms. Fairman, I'd love to ask Mr. Bowen to come to the podium to explain the public hearing on the proposed school board salaries for 24-25 prior to public comment.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Mr. Bowen, if you'll please come to the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. This is a resolution that comes before the board annually. And in the consent agenda this evening, Resolution 2439 proposes to continue the salaries of the school board members at the current level, which is $9,000 per member, with an additional $1,200 for the chair and an additional $600 for the vice chair. And just to note, the last time that the school board member salaries were increased was approved in June of 2005. That increase took effect January 1, 2006, increasing from $7,000 to $9,000. So it's been at $9,000 since 2006.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, are there any questions for Mr. Bowen?
I just have a general question, I guess.
Sorry about that.
Hey, you sat down before I had a chance. So I heard somebody in this audience reference something about $15,000 a vote, or is there anything floating around out there that you know about? Because that is news to me.
Yes, I'm unaware of that. I'm not sure what that was in reference to.
Okay, so yeah, there is nothing, just so everybody knows, there's nothing out there about any increase. We haven't voted any increase. We didn't ask for any increase or anything like that, and there's nothing out there.
And can you reference the state law if we were to increase it, how that works? Or maybe I should ask Ms. Berry so the other board members are aware.
I do have a copy of that code, but I would prefer if Ms. Berry read it.
Just so they know, if we were to raise the salaries, it wouldn't come into effect until after the next election year.
That's correct.
So.
That's correct.
No, exactly. I just wanted the new members to know that law if they were unfamiliar with that. And the public.
Did you want me to read it?
No, I think that's enough explanation that if we were to increase our salaries, that it wouldn't go into effect for another 4 years after the election for whoever the new board is, if it's the same board members or new board members, either way.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Are there any other comments for this? Dr. Shandor, do you have any further comments?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will go back and see if we just have one person signed up. At this time, I will open the remarks for the school board salaries. Mr. Michael Peterson, are you here? You had signed up. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. And seeing that there are no other ones, I will now close the public hearing on the proposed school board salaries. Moving along, we have matters by the board members, and we'll ask each board member for your comments. District 1, Mr. Schaefer.
Turn on my mic. I'd like to say that I went to the, at Waller Mill Elementary. It was very cool. They had a glow night dance where all the kids had glow sticks and all, and it was a fundraiser for the, I believe they're a CA. And I got to go, and no, I didn't mingle, no, I didn't dance. Like, they put me to work. I was the cashier for all the food and stuff, and so I got to see everybody come through. But it was an awesome night. The families, I love it when families come together, and they all came, and they all just had a great time. I would like to say that Thursday, we have the Star Awards reception, and I'm going to go spend some time at that. Hopefully I'll get to see the whole thing before heading over to Bruton for their spring concert, which I'm looking forward to big time. They always do such a good job. And I will say that our board is not a good functioning board at this time. It was very disturbing to hear that our board chair was venting to Mr. Peterson. Maybe that's why he's not here now. But I have an issue with that. I don't think that we should be venting to anybody except our spouses, probably, or our kids would be the thing. And it's disturbing to see that. I would like us to come together, but it's very disheartening. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2, Mr. Payevich.
Yes, it's been a very busy and very satisfying month for me with a lot of events that I visit. I would like to give just credits to all of our students and staff for putting such an amazing events, and some of them I'm going to mention that I've actually attended. First one that I went and I took my son and my wife, it was the Tab High School musical. It was Legally Blonde. That Dr. Shandor's son was having one of the roles in there. It was one of the best productions that I've seen in the school. It was just heartwarming to see that many students coming together and having such a good time. And it just lifted all of us through the whole evening. I mean, just director, the singing, the music, everything was phenomenal. Another one that we tried to hit the same weekend was in Grafton High School, and it was Once Upon the Mattress. Same thing. It just, the talent that we have, the kids that the whole production in Grafton was put by the students. From the staging, lighting, sound, organization, costumes, everything was student production. And it was just amazing to see how professionally they can do it, and they've done it. Next amazing thing that I attended to, it was at the Tab High School, and it was a Little Feat, which was the Special Olympics by Virginia event sponsoring special ed education children that were paired up with more senior students to help them up in a competition. And one thing that they gave me is athlete's oath, kind of just rings with me, and I have it here with me. It says, let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And it just kind of rang with me that those special kids that we have the special ed teachers like Mr. Todd, they pour so much into them, and how blessed we are to live in this society, in this country, that cares about kids with special eds. I come from the country that it's not as fortunate, that the government doesn't pour enough resources to the children, and those children are left to be cared by the parents. And society sometimes turns a blind eye on their needs. And it's a real struggle. So coming here and seeing it, how much you guys, school district teachers, pour into these children, it just it's unbelievable. And I want to let you know, as a foreigner coming here, how great the system is. The need is even greater, but we, as a board, we gave more money through the budget to the special ed. And right now, we're almost at 10% of our school budget for the special ed, which is, I believe, I'm very proud of that. And we need more, but we need more good teachers. And like teachers like yourself help quite a bit, so thank you. Some of the things at Little Feed, there was a competition that they had, was a 25-meter dash, softball throw, standing long jump, running long jump, soccer goal kick, beanbag toss, hula hop jumps, ring toss, jump rope, snake, bubble stations. Like, the kids had a blast. We had a march down the field with the firefighters and the sheriff's department, and the kids were just enjoying it so much. Next thing that I went to, it was, let me see, New Horizons at Langley. New Horizons was the sponsor of the Langley's race night past weekend. And one of the most amazing things that happens, one of the students from New Horizon, he's actually a race driver. And the entire team came together. His car was put together in New Horizons by our students. They work on their engine. Our students work on those things. And he started on the 6th place, and he came on a 2nd, and he almost won the race. And it was just a highlight of that whole evening, how much of the New Horizons and community came together to support. And he's, I think it's like he's 15 years old and driving like almost 100 miles an hour in circles. So it was just really amazing. Yeah, I cannot imagine my 15-year-old doing that stuff. So it was just amazing night. They allowed me to come down and give actually a trophy to one of the main races at the end, which was a real honor. Next thing that we just attended on Saturday was a 200-plus scholar breakfast. For those people who are not familiar with 200-plus men breakfast, actually it's the society with young African-American males who are graduating, and they're paired up with mentors growing up to help and guide them in their future endeavors. Through it, they shared quite a bit of the scholarships, and through the Hampton University and Norfolk State University, and it just kind of helped me understand how that community are strong in belief in their youth to bring them up together. And it's such an honor to be part of that. We as York County, we had the representatives that won some scholarships, and I think, like, I don't have their names, but we're probably gonna be able to announce them pretty soon. And with that, I'm gonna close it, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pavich. District 3, Mrs. Goodwin.
Thank you. Would help if I have the mic on. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that spoke tonight. Again, I know that's your time coming out, and a lot of people had a lot of great things that they said. And I think one of the things that resonates for me in hearing this is we have a lot more in common than we do not. I think one of the things that I hear is we all love our children. We all love York County schools, and we want the best for the children, the students in York County schools. So that's something that unites all of us. I've heard both, all of you almost speak on that. We love our teachers. We want our teachers to be, taken care of and retained, because we do have good teachers here. So I know there's a lot of negative stuff, but there are things that unite us, and I think that that's an important thing to remember. I do want to address, because it has come up before, and I can't remember individual person or context, but I did back in February, yes, make a comment, a public statement about some of the social media posts, and particularly the one where I was accused of racism or thinking slaves were happy. That post was a lot longer than what had been put on social media, and oftentimes, and you all know this, you get a snippet of something, but you don't necessarily get the whole picture. And if you saw that in its state, yeah, you would think that I was probably a horrible person. No, I don't think slaves were happy. In fact, I said in that same post, I don't think slaves were happy. I don't even know if that was portrayed on there or not for whatever you saw. And I don't think it was good, and I don't endorse any kind of racism. So, you know, if you saw that piece, you know, I am so sorry that you would have seen that and thought that I was that horrible person. I certainly do not mean any evil intent by that. I was actually trying to have somewhat of a higher level, I guess you would call, conversation with somebody else that was on that feed, and just talking about I would never assume that I know what another person is thinking or feeling, but I guess the context of that, you know, was taken wrong. So for that, I do apologize. People that know me well and know my true character certainly can attest to that, but I can certainly understand if you don't know me or you're getting to know me, how you could take offense to that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. If you still have a personal issue, contact me. I have a cell phone, I have email. You are welcome to reach out to me. I will meet you for coffee and we can talk it out. I've met with several people so that they can know my character and who I am, okay? Sometimes we judge the book by its cover and we don't really read the book. So I'd invite you if that is something you want to know more about. Okay, anyway. So I don't take up more of your time. I want to get on to reading a little bit about what I've been up to since, I guess, our last board meeting. These are some of the highlights. I was able to participate in another family engagement night at York Elementary School. I got to serve pizza this time, so they put me to work. And I was taken around to see more of the great reading initiatives and activities that are being done at their school. I got to make a mosaic stepping stone that's actually going to go into the York Elementary School garden, and that is currently under development, and I'm really excited to see the final result. I think it's going to be beautiful, and I would love to see all our schools have some kind of garden for kids to learn about gardening and just have some hands-on experience. So I think that's great. I attended a multicultural celebration at Tabb High School. I got to learn a little bit of some fun facts about different cultures and try some great food. This was the first year that Tabb had this event, and it was sponsored by their multicultural club. And I really can see this taking off and being really big next year. So this is something to look for, and I would encourage people in the community to attend it. And then I got to attend Pitch Night at Tabb High School, which is, if you're not familiar with Pitch Night, it's similar to Shark Tank, if you've ever seen that show. The students all had some amazing ideas. Pitch Night winners were from the Pitch Night winners were all from York High School and led by the teacher, Dana Napier. So they took first, second, and third place. First place was a $300 cash award, and they also took the Audience Choice Award, and that was, the winners of that were Carly Bronner and Henry Stussy. And the second place for $200 was Clarity Planners, and that was Olivia Horak and Eliza Jones. And I don't remember if I said for the first place that the title of theirs was Street Eats. And then third place with a $100 reward was the Shoebox, and that was Marley Banks and Gabe Matthews. And then this evening before the board meeting, I had the opportunity to attend the Outstanding Youth Award reception for some of our students that participate in community service. So it's been a busy month, and I always enjoy seeing all the good things that our schools and students are doing. That's it.
Thank you very much. District number 4, Mr. Richardson.
Yeah, so I was out and about it since our last meeting, April 23rd. The Tuesday evening, I stopped by Dare Elementary School. They were having parents were stopping in to get information on kindergarten. It's a little bit of an emotional time for some of those parents with their first kindergartner, of course, going to school. But it was nice seeing the parents out there and the administrators and, you know, them walking them through the process. April 25th was our Tidewater Regional Forum for VSBA, and that was our art contest, where we had the art contest and we announced those winners earlier that were from our division here. And our speaker was the retired county administrator, Neil Morgan, at that event. May 18th, I attended the 200 Scholars Breakfast at the Hampton Roads Convention Center, where African-American high school males from Hampton Roads public and private schools who are graduating with a 3.0 or better GPA were honored. And I was at that event with Mr. Pajovic. And this evening, I did attend the Outstanding Youth Awards with the chair and vice chair earlier at the Freight Shed. I hope to visit a few more schools before the in the next few weeks before the end of school year. Try to squeeze a few more in. And graduations are looming, and board members will be attending those in the next few weeks. So I'll see everybody there at the graduations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson, and I'll wrap things up with District 5. I want to thank Tab High School's Multicultural Club students and their sponsors for an amazing event. I know Mrs. Goodwin just mentioned that. It was their first. It's kind of like an international fair, and it was tied to their personal heritage. So they also, several of them had family members there. They were learning and presenting not only their native attire, history about their particular heritage country, and then they also had wonderful food to share that they had learned how to make it from their moms, their grandmas, and other family members. It was a wonderful event. This was their very first one. I hope that you all will attend when it's given next year. I hope there's another one next year. It was an absolutely wonderful. I can see it being much bigger and being countywide at some point, but they are definitely to be congratulated for an amazing event. It was wonderful. Also, congratulations to the York County Outstanding Youth Award winners. They were honored at a reception this evening earlier this evening at the Freight Shed, and it was an honor to be part of the selection committee for those students. It was also very difficult because all of the students who applied for it could have won it. It was tooth and nail trying to figure out which one was actually going to be the award winner. And I enjoyed working with the two young men who were part of the York County Youth Commission, as well as Board of Supervisors Chair Stephen Rohn for that. Now, moving on, there's a popular meme that's been going around on social media, and it says, it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to disagree with someone's opinion. It is not okay to humiliate them because they don't think the same way that you do. Unfortunately, a couple of my colleagues have made comments that were nothing but character assassinations. We need to make sure that comments are focused on the business rather than personal attacks. This is called respect. As such, I want to formally apologize to the School Board Member Alliance and specifically to its Executive Director, Mrs. Sherry Story, and correct some misinformation being spread by reading some facts about her. This is actually her bio. Sherry Story dedicated 22 years to teaching high school biology, AP biology, and IB biology, along with theory of knowledge before retiring in 2018. In 2010, she was awarded the Secondary Teacher of the Year in Suffolk. She then served a 4-year term on the Suffolk City School Board. 3 years into her term in 2021, she was selected as a Gold Award recipient in Suffolk in 3 categories: Best School Board Member, Best Elected Official, and Best Local Hero. This was the first in the history of the Best of Awards hosted by the Suffolk News Herald. Ms. Story's dedication to education included many years of experience in leading professional development at the local, state, and national levels for AP and IB biology teachers. As a national educational ambassador for the Howard Hughes Medical Institute's Biointeractive Division, Ms. Story spent years leading professional development for teachers in all fields of biology, at many NABT, NSTA, and national STEM conferences. She was one of the first innovative leaders of what was called the flipped classroom, which became the norm during the COVID lockdowns. Ms. Story, she's the mother of 2 children and 4 grandchildren, and they all attended and benefited from K through 12 public education. She holds a bachelor's degree in education and a Master of Divinity degree with a focus on organizational leadership. Just wanted to get that out there for actual information about her. In addition, many solid and successful businesses left their brick and mortar locations during the emerging digital business climate, learning it was better for their bottom line. A lot of them were forced into this during the lockdowns, but then they learned that this is actually a positive thing. This has been especially true for 501c3 nonprofit groups to be fiscally responsible to their members and supporters. This is the same case with the School Board Member Alliance, to focus on what their members and school boards around the state need, rather than paying rent and electricity and all of the other things that go along with having a brick and mortar location. The Virginia Department of Education recognizes SBMA as a valid organization. The negative comments seem to be coming from the fact that another organization doesn't like having competition. That's America. Since the 10 May retreat was canceled, SBMA declared the contract null and void and sent an email to us with no YCSD funds due, and also emailed a letter, they emailed that letter stating so, and that no funds are due. Regarding that retreat, I erred in regarding the setup of the board retreat. I had the action on the agenda for the April 22 meeting and misunderstood Mr. Richardson's guidance that it didn't need to be done since the retreat was included as a line item in our budget, and it was already approved. When I double-checked with CFO Mr. Bowen, he let me know that there was enough money as long as the retreat cost didn't go over $5,000. And as long as we used either VSBA or SBMA, we didn't need to put it out for bid. That was my mistake in misunderstanding that particular direction. We've since corrected that. There is nothing more to do with that. We're following procedure as we're supposed to. Encountering this bump in the road, unfortunately, is part of the learning curve when a new board is elected and the plan that they need to be more than a rubber stamp and actually do the work rather than be handed pre-written script to be mere actors on a stage. If missteps are taken, we'll work to correct it and learn, me especially. That's why the board needs to develop an SOP manual, standard operating procedure, so that everyone can be brought up to speed quickly for required steps like this at any transition. If all we're going to do is show up to read a script and push a plan developed by someone else, why do we need an elected school board? Why have a school board at all if they're just going to, parrot what they're expected to say? And that's one of those cases that we need to be moving forward on what's important. We need to be more than just being directed by someone else. That's not what we were elected to do. Yes, it means change from the status quo. Yes, it's more difficult than just showing up at a meeting and being told what to do like a trained actor in a play. But that is what it means to be elected. We were chosen by the majority of voters in our districts to do that. And we apologize if we make mistakes. We're trying to work through this and make sure that we're following things as we should do. Again, we can have differences of opinion. That's called diversity of thought and individualism, along with an understanding to show respect in spite of those differences. That's called civil discourse. Elections allow the voters to choose the direction. We'll be working on the decisions that will lead YCSD to improve student achievement with their academics and life skills. That is our focus. We'll be working to make sure our steps on that path are solid and aligned with policy and law. And the last thing I'd just like to say, Mrs. Goodwin and I met with attorney Mrs. Berry to develop the needed policy for creating the standing committees to help us do the required school board jobs. And we plan to have this ready for board consideration in June, and we had a very productive meeting and working through it, and we'll be presenting that as it is finished. At that time, we'll move along to financial matters. Mr. Pyavich, I believe you're discussing those financial matters at this time.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have three considerations to be presented in front of the board, and I'm going to go through the list of them. First consideration is of approval of claims certified for payment, and we have claims that are certified for payment for the month of April of 2024. Instructional related expenditures total approximately $315,715 and includes payments to AMN Healthcare Allied, Beautiful Mind Speech Therapy, Curriculum Associates, Emily Hines LLC, Grafton Integrated Health Network, Plan B Academy, ProCare Therapy, SH Varsity Acquisitions, Sunbelt Staffing, Tentcraft, and Stepping Stones. Now, technology-related expenditures total approximately $29,655 and includes payments to Cox Communications and VA Business Systems. Now, operational-related expenditures total approximately $148,365 and includes payments to Carrier Systems, Continental Contractors, Dominion Energy, Republic Services, and Sunbelt Rentals. Following construction-related expenditures total approximately $1,242,750 and includes payments to ACES LLC, Harbor Mechanical, and Weatherproofing Technologies. Expenditures related to the administration total approximately $134,015 and includes payments to Arc Bridge Consulting, College of William and Mary, Newport News Marriott, Rycor, and Versa. Now we're going to move to the consideration of approval of financial reports for April 2024. And we have significant changes relating to the operating budget. For April revenues, state revenues for April 2024 increased by more than $9.5 million when compared to April 23. The increase is a result of the 7% compensation adjustment, increase in student enrollment, and additional of all-in funding included in the revised state budget passed in September 2023. Sales tax revenue for April 24 decreased by $1.2 million when compared to April 23. This is a result of the change in economic activity. For expenditures, instructional expenditures for April 24 increased by approximately $6.6 million when compared to April 23. The difference can be attributed to the increase in compensation and benefits, the spend down of federal ESSER funds, the increase of fill rates for instructional positions for FY24, and increase in private placement students related to the Children's Services Act program. Admin attendance health expenditures for April 24 increased by approximately $1 million when compared to April 23. The difference can be attributed to the increase in compensation and benefits and the increase in contracted services for speech, language, and private nursing services. Significant changes relating to the food service budget. For revenues and expenditures, local food service revenue has increased more than $504,000 when compared to April 23. This is due to the increase in the number of meals served. Federal food service revenue has decreased by more than $273,800 due to the decrease in grant funding. And final, it's consideration of approval of Resolution 24-37. Resolution 24-37 requires the board's approval authorizing procurements of more than $50,000. There's a total of 5 items of the resolution. 3 items totaling $189,500 are for fiscal year 24, and 2 items totaling $78,000 for the fiscal year 25, the details of which can be viewed on the board docs. Madam Chair, I now move to approve financial matters as listed.
Thank you. I need a second from the board to approve financial matters as listed.
I'll second.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Mr. Pyavich to accept the financial matters as listed, seconded by Mrs. Goodwin. Are there any further questions, board members? Hang on, I think I'm getting a question. Okay, that's for the next thing. Okay, thank you very much. Any comments? All right, Mrs. Howard?
A motion was made by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mrs. Goodwin to approve financial matters as listed. Mr. Pyavich,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much. Mr. Richardson, do you need to pull A or you're?
Yes, I just want to pull A so we can vote on it separately, please, on the consent calendar.
This is
We
out
can-
of the consent calendar.
Right. If we can just pull A, and then we can vote on everything else, and then do A separately.
All right, there's been a request to pull A, which is approval of personnel actions, and leave the rest in here. Going over the consent calendar, is there any objection to pulling A out from any of the board members? Okay. So Mrs. Howard will be pulling A out of the consent calendar. Thank you very much. B, approval of minutes from a special meeting on April 22nd, a regular meeting on April 22nd, a special meeting on April 30th, and a special meeting on May 6th. C, approval of Resolution 24-39 to continue the salaries of members of the County School Board of York County. D, approval of a motion to approve a student activity and overnight field trip for the Grafton High and Bruton High School History Clubs. E, approval of Resolution 2438, a resolution authorizing the school board chair, division superintendent, and the high school principals to apply for membership with the Virginia High School League for school year 2024 to 25. F, approval of Gifted Education Advisory Committee updated bylaws. G, approval of the 24 to 25 student handbook and conduct code. H, approval is of the consent calendar as listed. I'd like to have a motion as well as a second to approve the consent calendar B through G as identified.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the consent calendar B through G as listed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, seconded. Are there any comments from the board at this time regarding the consent calendar B through G? All right, Mrs. Howard?
A motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve the consent calendars items B through G. Mr. Pyavich,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will address A, approval of personnel actions. Mr. Richardson?
No discussion, just ready for y'all to vote.
All right, that sounds good. Are there any comments from the board regarding that? Okay, is there a second to, or a motion to approve the personnel actions A?
I'll make a motion to approve the consideration of personnel actions of the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel actions originally as number A that was in the consent calendar and moved out. Any further comments? All right, Mrs. Howard?
A motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve item A of the consent calendar, which is personnel actions.
There was a correction on that. It was motioned by Mr. Schaefer and seconded by Mr. Pyavich.
I apologize.
Sorry.
Motion was made by Mr. Schaefer and seconded by Mr. Pyavich to approve the consent calendar item A, personnel actions. Mr. Pyavich,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Abstain.
Mrs. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0, one abstention.
Thank you very much. Moving down to action items. We'll take consideration of a motion to authorize the purchase of York County DARE program supplies at a total cost to the school division not to exceed $4,000. And if the cost exceeds $4,000, the DARE program will reimburse the school division any amount above $4,000. Dr. Shandor, do you have additional comments on this, please?
Yeah, we had some discussion at the agenda setting meeting. So I'm going to have Mr. Bowen just come to the podium and clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. Board members, this is a motion that we bring to the board annually this time of year. And again, it's only $4,000 that we use to support the DARE program that's in our school. The supplies, the money actually goes to T-shirts that we buy for the students. And if it does exceed $4,000, then the DARE program reimburses back for that cost.
All right, thank you. Board members, are there any questions, comments regarding that? I need a motion to authorize this, the purchase of York County DARE program supplies at a total cost of the school division not to exceed $4,000, and if the cost exceeds $4,000, the DARE program will reimburse the school division any amount above $4,000.
I would like to make a motion to authorize the purchase of York County DARE program supplies at a total cost to the school division not to exceed $4,000, and if the cost exceeds $4,000, the DARE program will reimburse the school division any amount above $4,000.
A second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion regarding it? Mrs. Howard?
A motion was made by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mr. Richardson to authorize the purchase of York County DARE program supplies at a total cost to the school division not to exceed $4,000. And if the cost exceeds $4,000, the DARE program will reimburse the school division by any amount over $4,000. Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving along with the agenda, we don't have any policy discussion, but we do have a first reading for policy BDDZ, agenda format. Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes, so for the first reading, I'm recommending to, or on this policy, to remove the invocation, which is listed on as item 6, and moving to moment of silence after remarks by board chair.
All right, that's the first reading regarding that. Mrs. Goodwin, do you have any comments to make on that?
This is being done because as we've had several speakers, deliver the invocation, and we've had issues with staying in the guidelines of what they need, how they need to say it, what they need to say, and there's been some issues with that. It just makes more sense to go back to just doing a moment of silence, or we didn't do a moment of silence, but it makes more sense to stay in line with just how we do it in the schools, and that way it will maintain consistency as well.
Are there any questions or comments from the other board members?
I think we made comments when we first discussed this, back when we were trying to do it, but I'm good with that.
All right, so that handles the first reading of that one. Moving down to the second item under policy, a second reading that will also be action. It's policy JFHA-GBA, then / policy GBA-JFHA. And I believe Ms. Berry has the information to share on these policies and why it's a second reading.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Shandor. The policy JFHA-GBA / JFHA-GBA, which are mirrored policies, are before you for second reading on an expedited basis. This is changes that are pursuant to a resolution agreement the board has entered into that requires that the changes to the policy be implemented by May. In addition, there are some other changes that clarify for the students and staff as well as parents. Complaints, who you would complain to should you have a concern regarding an investigation, and it gives emails and just more transparency for the parents.
Thank you. Do I have a motion as well as a second to approve the scheduling of the proposed revisions to section JFHA/GBA, prohibition against harassment and retaliation, for expedited approval? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion for expedited approval of policy JFHA-GBA/JFHA-GBA.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion has been moved and seconded to approve the scheduling of the proposed revisions to section JFHA/GBA, GBA, and then GBA-JFHA, which is the prohibition against harassment and retaliation for expedited approval. It's been moved and seconded. No further comments or discussion. Mrs. Howard?
A motion was made by Mrs. Goodwin and seconded by Mr. Pyavich to approve the scheduling of proposed revisions to section JFHA/GBA, prohibition against harassment and retaliation for expedited approval. Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. Now, moving on to policy GAD. Ms. Berry, could you please go over these revisions?
Policy GAD deals with digital communications with citizens, families, parents, students, and clarifies for transparency that retaliation can take many forms. It provides for the use of digital communications with parents, families, staff, that they should not be used as a way to retaliate. So I would ask the board to approve this on an expedited basis along with the other policy.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the scheduling of the proposed revisions to section GAD, digital communication policy, for expedited approval?
I make a motion to approve the schedule the proposed revision of the section GAD digital communication policy for expedited approval.
I'll second.
All right, the motion has been moved by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mr. Schaefer. Are there any discussion, comments about this? All right, Mrs. Howard.
A motion was made by Mr. Pyavich and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve the scheduling of proposed revisions to section GAD, digital communication policy, for expedited approval. Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. Now, moving on to policy JJAF. Mrs. Berry, once again, could you give those revisions to us?
Yes, JJAF deals with the sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes. We have chosen to adopt the VSBA policy, making minor changes to the policy that was in effect, but as we're moving into the summer season, conditioning will start with our student athletes. Having the policy in place with all the requirements of the law, I think is essential for those students. So I would ask for expedited approval of this policy as well.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the scheduling of the proposed revisions to section JJAF, sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes, for expedited approval?
I move approval of policy JJAF.
I'll second.
All right, the motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this? Mrs. Howard.
A motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve the scheduling of proposed revisions to section JJAF, sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes, for expedited approval. Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Pyavich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. At this time, we move along to the report of the superintendent. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Ms. Fairman. I had just a couple items this evening. First, want to congratulate York River Academy and Seaford Elementary on receiving the awards this evening. We're so proud of all the staff and the students for their achievements. Also want to take a moment to recognize our leaders and staff for their courage, supporting each other despite the many challenges that we continue to work through. It's true that leaders stand up in tough times, and I admire each of you. I did present some Apple Awards between the last board meeting and this board meeting. Ingrid Holzer Miller, who is a staff member at Tab High School, Kendra Mason, who's a teacher at Bethel Manor Elementary School, and Blair Sweeney, who's a physical therapist with the school division, all very worthy recipients of the Apple Awards. We did a prize patrol for Miss Taylor Walkup Amos, who's a music teacher at Yorktown Elementary School. She was presented with the Music Teacher of Excellence, and this award comes from the Country Music Association Foundation, so we're really proud of her. Next, I want to thank Dr. Skinner and Dr. Wrights. They met with me and members from the NAACP Education Committee. We had an extremely productive conversation. I want to thank Dr. Wrights and Dr. Skinner and the folks from the NAACP Education Committee for their time. I want to thank Mr. Pavich. We have spent a great deal of time, he, myself, and Mr. Bowen, combing through the budget book. We had a very lengthy meeting the other day, went page by page. We worked our way through the budget book, so I appreciate Mr. Bowen's time as well, helping Mr. Pavich continue to learn that budget. I also attended pitch night with Ms. Goodwin last week. I know the schools appreciate your support, Ms. Goodwin, and you being there, especially since York won all three of them, so I'm sure they appreciated you being there. I wanted to also mention that I'm always available to assist our students in our classrooms. I had a great opportunity this past week to help our AP statistics students at Tab High School. It was a really difficult task, but they needed me to come in and hit golf balls, so it was fantastic. So I got to hit 10 golf balls. Thank you, Mr. Olivo, excuse me, he taught my daughter, Olivo, for letting me come in there. I'm always available to come out there and hit golf balls. Following spring break, I wanted to share this evening. Beginning April 8th until this past Friday, May 17th at 4 p.m., I have been able to meet with over 500 staff members over a 6-week period. Essentially, I had 31 separate meetings with all of our schools and all of our departments in the school division, which lasted a little over an hour each time. I asked 4 simple questions. What does YCS do well? What are our current challenges? What do I need to know? And what are 3 priorities for next school year? I do want to share that the feedback that I've received from the staff members was outstanding. I'm constantly reminded, why it's such a great place to work. Over the next, we're going to get through the rest of the year and get through graduation, but I'm going to review all this information with the leadership team and obviously take action, specifically targeting questions 2, 3, and 4. I appreciate the time that the staff that came in to give me feedback. I find our staff members that they're just so professional, passionate about the school division. And I want to be clear, the sessions were not complaint sessions. Staff members came in, they shared their concerns, their challenges, and they offered a lot of solutions to those challenges. Now it's my job to execute a plan to continue for us to improve. And I did want to address one item this evening. We heard a few comments this evening related to dates related to staff members within this school division of incidents that occurred over the past year or two. And there's also people in our community that continue to post information that is either incorrect or they can find the answer in another location. So I would encourage you, if you're in the audience or if you're in the community and you have a question about any of the investigations that were referenced this evening, I would encourage you to call Kristen Reed. She's the Commonwealth Attorney. I would encourage you to call Senator Danny Diggs, who was the sheriff during that time, or kindly call Sheriff Montgomery. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shandor. Now, we'll be going into, we're in need of a closed session, but before that, I have an announcement. As a reminder, our next work session will be held here at York Hall on Monday, June 10th at 4:30 p.m. with a special meeting following. And I want you all to have a great week. At this time, we're in need of a closed session.
Madam Chair, do we have any other speakers? There was a couple that walked in.
Oh, whoops.
I don't know, just want to make sure.
Thank you very much. I forgot about that. Did anyone arrive who would like to speak but has not, they were not here for the initial? If you could please state your name and district, and you have 3 minutes.
There we go. Okay. Hi, My name is Stephanie Presley. I am from District 3. I am a reading specialist with York County Schools. I have 15 years of experience teaching. I absolutely love teaching reading. I was a struggling reader myself, so it is my passion. I had the opportunity and the privilege and the honor to be the Grafton Middle School Teacher of the Year this year. And then I got the Middle School Teacher of the Year. And then all of a sudden, I received the Division Level Teacher of the Year award. And I'm truly honored by that. I was also awarded the Teacher of the Year award in the previous division that I worked for prior to coming to York County. First, I want to apologize for not being here for public comment, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. I just wanted this to serve as a notification that I am leaving my position with York County School Division. It is a very emotional decision for me to make, so I will try my best to stay poised while up here. It has not been an easy decision. However, the current state of affairs within the school board have created an environment that's no longer conducive to the type of educational excellence that I strive to achieve, and it doesn't align to my own core values. This approach of where progress is never good enough feels like gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic where someone tries to make another person question their own reality. This board, through actions of these meetings that I have watched every single month, have made me feel less valued and like my expertise in areas of literacy are not important. You're surrounded by the most knowledgeable experts, and yet you still question their guidance and their skill set. I am excited to announce that I've accepted a new position where my expertise and dedication to high standards is truly valued. This new role is going to allow me to advocate and implement strategies for educational excellence in the entire state of Virginia, and that work that I will be doing really truly does align to my core values. With that being said, though, I do wholeheartedly wish you all the best. I wish you all the best in your continued efforts. I truly hope this board will prioritize the full potential of this division by listening to the teachers who put in countless hours to educate our students. York County is a very special place, and teachers have wanted to come work here for years. But if the board continues to act in such a way, that will not be the case. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Presley. At this time, we are in need of a closed session, so could a board member please take us into closed session? Oh, whoops. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please state your name and district.
Delois Stallman, District 5. Since the election, 2 board members have worked tirelessly to undermine and subsequently denigrate publicly and privately the 3 new members. One incident was Mr. Schaefer bragging on audio at the VSBA training session about his and Mr. Richardson's Republican bona fides, while casting the other 3 out as extremists. This was prior to their swearing in. And he indicated that they would be taught a lesson. Then at the first 2024 meeting, and many thereafter, there have been nonstop steps taken to personally undermine the new members, including motions to remove the chair and vice chair, and nothing more than performance theater and dumping fuel on the fire of ill will. Almost like Veruca Salt, who demanded that Daddy get her that golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. Mr. Richardson's attitude has remained that the chairmanship is owed to him. The pursuit of ego over children and academics is well documented. The repeated disrespect of the 3 new members and training opportunities and some recent omission about a post of training session have been met with cruelty and disparagement. And the bottom line is group leadership positions are earned. Mr. Richardson's choice to disrespect, bully, and read comments that were intended to humiliate his colleagues are also well documented. There was one citizen who called on Mr. Richardson to recuse himself when a vote awarding some $13,000 contract went directly to a group on whose board he sits was taken, but he refused. Where was Wavy News then? Dr. Shandor is the highest paid employee in York County with a salary and 22% additional deferred compensation of about $332,000 a year. With vacation, sick, and all the holidays paid, that's 12 weeks off annually. Over his 4-year contract, that is just a few weeks short of 1 whole calendar year. Remarkably, this school board didn't bother to hire an attorney when they negotiated the terms of that contract. Where was Wavy News for that? Last year, YCSD justified bringing on a full-time attorney. Unbelievably, in doing so, the school board didn't even hire a third-party attorney to negotiate her contract on its behalf. Where was Wavy News then? The new school board members, as my 13-year-old daughter has said repeatedly, have never even been given a chance. She wanted to be here tonight. There's been no grace extended, no helping hand, only public criticism and undermining. Nonetheless, there is a 3-ring circus brought here every month, courtesy of one side, and that is the side who supports the status quo.
Thank you, Ms. Stallman.
And I'd like to say something.
All right,
so
Mr.
I can
Richardson.
respond to that. I disagree. Everything I've said has been the truth. I've spoken the truth, and I'll continue to speak the truth when someone continues to violate policy and violate law. Thank you.
And
All right. Are there any other?
wait, I need to respond to Ms. Stallman as well. The conversation that she was referring to was a conversation that I had with another delegate at the VSBA convention that recorded it without my knowledge, but I stand by everything that I said. I didn't say that I wouldn't work with anybody. However, I will say that ever since the new board has come in, you say they weren't given a chance. I'm sorry, when they hit the ground running to try and change the world and to stop recognition and to get people off the dais and all that stuff, I'm sorry, that's not grace. Thank you.
All right, next speaker who didn't go earlier.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Ann Gregorian, 4th District. Over the last few weeks, I have witnessed what appears to be a planned and coordinated attack on the newly elected board members of YCSD. After the last work session, in a direct exchange with Mr. Schaefer about his hostility toward other members of the board, I suggested that elections will be the arbiters of their performance. His reply to me was stunning. He said he could not wait for the next election. The new members needed to go now. I would like to take this opportunity to remind Mr. Schaefer that it's not his decision who sits as the representative of Districts 2, 3, and 5. That choice belongs exclusively with the voters who reside in those districts. Mr. Schaefer's response now makes clear that his incessant attacks are an intentional assault with the singular purpose of unseating board members with whom he does not personally agree. I hope this board will stay the course despite Mr. Schaefer's activism. According to news reports, parents, employees, YCSD has serious issues to address, as we have heard over the last few weeks. A decline in literacy, attendance issues, facilities that have cockroach infestations over the summer, discipline problems forced on teachers that should be handled exclusively by principals, an increase in chronic absenteeism according to state reports on their website, a lack of adequate classroom space, the disruptive use of student cell phones during class times, and a massive $3.5 million in funding for an expected increase in at-risk students. The longer Mr. Schaefer continues his assaults, the less likely it will be that these important issues will receive any serious attention by this board. There just won't be time for it. Mr. Schaefer's obsessive focus on harassment is no benefit to our school district and will only serve to obstruct meaningful dialogue on the issues at hand. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm sorry that I didn't get here early enough to sign up, and I will continue to wish for the success of the entire board for York County School District after having lived here for 23 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this, you could state your name and district, please.
Good evening. My name is Biana Soldo, and I'm in District 2. I also speak on behalf of several families who are first-generation immigrants and do not feel comfortable with coming up here and speaking in a foreign language. These are Jovanović family, Crnogorac family, Pajević family, all District 2, and this is not Zoran Pajević household. Also Tubić family, District 5, Andrejić family, District 3. We'd like to address the concerns that we're having for years, and we hope that with this new leadership, some of those issues will finally be resolved. We are extremely concerned for the academic progress of our children. We do not need graphs to see this, since we are monitoring our kids' education on a daily basis. For example, our huge concern is the extremely poor level of knowledge in English. Our children who are A and B students, 8th and 9th graders, have zero knowledge in grammar. They cannot name even one American writer or poet. They do not get the books assigned to read, and naturally, they do not know how to write good essays. Instead of this, they've been learning every year about metaphor and simile, story plot, and compare and contrast over and over again. The content that also found its way to the classroom of 8th graders was Tupac Shakur song or poem, who is, just to remind you, the rapper convicted for sodomy, gun charges, 2 times of the first-degree sexual abuse, etc. Also, at the English class this year, our children have learned that their English teacher has 2 brothers who are both homosexual, but unfortunately, they never heard a word about, let's say, present continuous tense, imperative, or a comparison of adjectives. Of course, major consequence of this is being disabled to learn any foreign language, which is impossible without knowing your own. We are also very concerned about the fact that some substitute teachers are teaching multiple subjects at the same time. On the parents' question, how do those people manage to teach so many subjects, the answer is, well, they just tell us to read the lesson from the computer. Next, the computer science class is described by students as hot mess. The teacher cannot keep the students under control. Everybody is screaming. We finish our work in 5 minutes and then we just talk to each other. Apparently, the same teacher is pretty regular in these school board meetings and does not miss the opportunity to talk bad about 3 new school board members. However, the job that she's actually paid for with our tax money stays unfinished. Fortunately, there are brighter side and plenty of teachers who are doing an amazing job. I would just like to mention Ms. Hume, Ms. Jared, Ms. Weidlich, who are doing tremendous work with our children. Finally, we do understand that all those attacks are coming from the organized groups who are outrageous for losing their seats. We'd like to encourage all the school board members to stay focused on the issues that they've been elected for: academic achievement, safety, quality teachers.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Again, is there anyone else who missed going earlier because you arrived late? All right. Thank you. Oops. Thank you very much. At this time, we are in need of a closed session, so I'll need a board member to take us into that closed session with a motion.
I move that York County School Board convene in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3788 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act for consultation with legal counsel requiring the provision of legal advice concerning a possible investigation of specific individuals alleged to be sharing internal communications with the public.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion has been made by Mr. Schaefer, seconded by Mr. Pajević. Ms. Howard?
A motion was made by Mr. Schaefer and seconded by Mr. Pajević that the York County School Board meet in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act for consultation with legal counsel requiring the provision of legal advice concerning a possible investigation of specific individuals alleged to be sharing internal communications with the public. Mr. Pajević?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairman?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0. We are now in closed session.
Thank you. We will be in closed session.